Welcome to the Rolling Forward podcast, a podcast of people who keep rolling forward, no matter what life throws at them. Real people, real stories, powered by purpose, resilience, and a drive that never ends. If you guys understand that inside joke, let me know, because you guys are my best friends. So I'll explain after, but I'm Zach Sikora. Spina bifida didn't stop me. It just gave me a better excuse to sit down while I take over the world. Today's funny shirt is Wheelchair Mafia with a mafia guy in a wheelchair. Why does he have a cane if he's in a wheelchair?
Why does he have a cane?
Only God knows. But yeah, so you can find my t-shirts like this. This is if you want to be a part of the Wheelchair Mafia, I have the Wheelchair Mafia shirts. We can get into why we're called Wheelchair Mafia too. I am here with Matt and Ryan. But if you want to get one of the funny t-shirts, you can get on rollingforward.printful.me. If you have a funny shirt idea, throw it in the comments. The funniest might make it into the shop. Now, let's roll into today's episode with Matt and Ryan. How are you guys?
I am fantastic. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Awesome.
I'm Matt, by the way.
I'm Ryan, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we were calling you Rugen before, by the way, and I appreciate you using your actual name.
Whatever.
Yeah, so in past podcasts, I was like, yeah, the other wheelchair guy, he doesn't like to use his name, but yeah, so I'm glad we can start using your name now.
So it's okay.
Yeah, we're famous. So I said in my intro, I said powered by purpose, resilience, and a drive that never ends. Do you understand why I put the drive that never ends in there?
I want to guess that it's something about your dad.
No.
No idea.
Okay, so my birthday's Pi Day, right? I'm in a wheelchair. My nickname's Wheels. And so I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, I want to mix in some sort of joke there, pun or whatever. And so a drive that never ends because pi never ends. I know it's a stretch, but I wanted to mix in a little bit of mine, and if nobody ever notices, and of course you guys of all people should be the ones to catch it, and you didn't, so it'll just be a hidden gem that I like to think about every time I do the intro. So
everyone on the channel knows now.
Yeah,
so everybody please keep it a secret.
Yeah, don't tell anybody, guys. Seriously, it's off limits. Okay, so I'm really excited. These are my two best friends, and I'm super excited to have them on. Just for context, because we will talk about disability. Ryan is disabled, Matt is not. No, I'm kidding. Other way around. Matt is, yeah, right, as he stands up. Matt, can you stand for the group? Thanks. Yeah. But yeah, so Ryan is my housemate, and Matt was a former roommate of mine at some point. So I'm super excited to get into this. But at the start, I do want to say there's a lot of wheelchair jokes that we like to have during the podcast, and Ryan has full permission from us. The one rule that I've always said to any of my able-bodied friends: if you make a joke in a wheelchair joke, it has to be funny, or else I'm gonna burn you. And Ryan is the king of making hysterical wheelchair jokes, and they're original and they make me laugh. They're not like, oh, you should put a motor on that thing, or
Can I tell the story of when we first met?
Yeah, speed limit. Matt, I do want to hear some other ones from you, but yeah, go ahead and tell the story of how we first met.
Well, our first like actual encounter, we went to hang out with some buddies, and we were playing a little bit of pool, and Zach, rolls up to me. He's playing on the opposite team. We're playing doubles, and he goes, yeah, so you're gonna like spot me a ball or two? And I just looked down at him and I just go, no, you're already handicapped, and just walked away. And I don't think I've seen his face just like, oh my God, that was so good. And I think that kind of just sparked a friendship, and here we are today.
Yeah. That's funny. Matt, what are some of the other dumb like wheelchair?
When you back up, just make a beeping sound.
Yeah,
Beep,
you need a
beep,
beeper.
beep.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
if you're going fast, like, whoa, like, there's a speed limit here, buddy.
Yeah,
Did you say that one? Oh, yeah,
that
that's a good one.
the speed limit is probably the most frequent one, especially like I don't know, and we're not even going fast. Sometimes we go fast, but yeah. Anyway,
Oh, I took a stand-up comedy class for a couple months, and whenever I told people that I was in a stand-up comedy class, they were always like, your first joke should be, oh, wow, but I can't stand up. And I'm like, yeah, sounds pretty good, very original.
get ready for tomorrow. So tomorrow, Ryan and I are in one of our friends. We're hosting a presentation party. It's essentially I'll explain it real quick. It's where people have 5 minutes to present on whatever topic they want, and it's just to get together and laugh and have fun. So anyway, I'm gonna be doing stand-up comedy for the first time, and I'm in a wheelchair. So
You should do it. No,
I can't
Please.
believe you wouldn't lead with that. Like that's hysterical. Everyone's gonna laugh at that. So
Everyone came up with the idea, so it must be funny.
yeah, right. Okay, so one thing that I really appreciate that we do is I have a deck on my backyard in my backyard, and
Really big deck.
really big deck.
It's a beautifully big deck.
Yep. And we like to grill on the big deck, and we smoke meat and drink beer or whatever else, and have fun. So I that's one of the things I appreciate, and we like to get serious and deep and talk about everything. So I hope to get a glimpse of that on the podcast while we laugh and tell wheelchair jokes. So Matt, I don't think this applies to Ryan as much. You tell me, but Matt, why don't we handle the grill at the same time?
So, all right. So, a few years ago, Zach and I had just purchased houses together. Not together, but we had purchased separate houses
In the same year,
and-
yeah.
in the same year. And we both thought our back areas were a little bare. We wanted to do some grilling. And we both went to Home Depot together. And he wanted the 2-burner grill, which looking back is really funny. And
Yeah.
I wanted the 3-burner grill. So I got the 3-burner one. And he's like, I'm not going to let you show me up. I'm getting the 3-burner one too.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the same grill. We started just playing around. It was the middle of the summer. We started playing around with everything. We did chicken tenders and we just coated them with all kinds of delicious stuff. And we would sit next to each other. The grill's like yay big. So Zach's sitting here, I'm sitting here. We're both right in front of the open flames, and there's a lot of oil on whatever we're cooking. And just too many times, like Zach would just pull it off, and just like oil would fly. It's like, oh no, or
We
Yeah.
drop a hamburger on each other's
we would
lap, or
drop a hamburger on each other's laps.
uh,
There was a separate time too where so Zach has a window, like a door with a window in it, and the grill was right outside, and I had these metal skewers with
oh no,
Brussels sprouts on. So his roommate at the
Brussels
time
sprouts.
was there. He's like, "Hey, watch this. He's about to pick up the skewers." And I was like, "Oh no,
those
no,
are hot.
that would be silly." And then I got them all off, and then not 2 seconds later, I just like, "Oh no!" I could hear Zach laughing from inside. Oh, you could have stopped that.
We could have, but it was funny. Ryan asked, "Are you sure they were Brussels sprouts?"
They weren't short asparagus.
Asparagus.
Short asparagus. For some stupid reason, I can't tell the difference. I say asparagus for Brussels sprouts and Brussels sprouts for asparagus, and for the life of me, I can't get it straight in my head. I have no idea why. So we've now added the word short or long in front of whatever Brussels sprouts or asparagus word I use. So that way they know that it's asparagus or Brussels sprouts based on short or long. So yeah, like no matter what, there's just I think I need some hypnosis. Anybody out there that is a hypnosis and can correct my brain, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Um, okay. So how we met is the next thing. So why don't you two share how you two met? Do you remember?
Um, I just remember. I think it came
Roughly.
over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was out on the deck.
Yeah, we were grilling out, and Matt came over, and it's like, oh, another quiet guy.
Quieter guy, I might add. Which is interesting, as us being roommates. We'll get into this later, but you guys are both pretty introverted, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm a pretty extroverted guy, so it's interesting how you two became my good friends. I guess isn't there like a motto like every introvert needs a good extrovert or something to in order to be social or
You gotta
something?
get adopted by an extrovert.
Yes.
It works.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It definitely works.
Yeah, yeah.
I never would have done a podcast if it weren't for Zach.
They love me.
I do roughly remember, I don't know if it was exactly the first time we met, but you guys met through like a phone game.
Yeah.
So there's the phone game names like Zach's is Wheels, and I don't know if you would share yours, but like
Dizzy.
Dizzy. Like, so he just kept saying Dizzy, and Ryan just kept being like, "That's not my name."
Yeah.
The first month I lived with Zach, he called me Dizzy.
So Ryan and I knew each other for what, 7 years or something like that?
Very long time.
So we played Summoner's War together. Why don't you tell it?
Yeah, so Summer's War, little, role, or I guess what would you consider like a turn-based RPG?
Yeah, like farming type thing.
Yeah, it's a
Strategy, maybe.
lot of
some.
strategy, a lot of competitive aspects, and Zach and I kind of led a top 10 team in that game, and
Yeah.
Zach's very extroverted, likes to go guns a-blazing, and I've always been kind of the, let's take it slow, let's make sure we do things right kind. So the two of us really balanced each other out, and over that time period, we really became good friends, bouncing ideas off of each other, and got really close doing that. And,
Yeah.
the opportunity came that I was able to move back to Cincinnati, and Zach had always been like, hey, I always like to have a roommate. And so I was like, hey, still offer on the table.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I've had roommates most of my life. I love having a roommate because I'm so introverted. No, but and it just so happened that my last roommate had moved out, and like the timing was
Absolutely
perfect.
Mhm.
Like if somebody else was in there, you wouldn't have been my roommate. So it's pretty awesome. So he has basically the whole lower level, and I have the upper level. We share a kitchen, and I see him when he comes out of his hole every so often, and he's not working. So
Yeah, that's few and far between, but
yeah, this is why I'm so excited to talk to them for 2 hours. No, so yeah, that's how you and I met. You know what? One of the cool things is, like we did something together. Like we built this guild. Like, and I mean, we built it from scratch. We recruited people. We did the strategy. We coordinated like monster builds and stuff like that. And like it was really fun to coordinate all that with you. And like the decisions that we were making, like we had very different we had very different roles. Like you were the kind of the behind the scenes person, and I was the one that was like, hey, make sure you do your attacks. This is what happens if you don't. This is what happens if you do. Yada yada yada. So it was a pretty cool thing. I don't know, what was it, for like a year or two,
yeah, it's all
at least.
time.
And then we both kind of quit around the
Got
same
burnt
time.
out.
It was mostly
You
Go ahead.
guys were crazy, like top level.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Way too
Like, I
much time
think
and effort.
I was just
Yeah.
saying, I think it was like a second job basically for you guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely was,
Yeah.
managing 28 other people, and
Yep.
it felt like a full-time job.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was definitely some interesting, but it's unfortunate that you can't put like Summoner's War guild leader on your resume. Like I learned a lot about leadership during that time, and I think one of the cool things is like I'm we're coordinating a guild, and these people are doing all this for free because they want
Mhm.
to be there, right? And so it's like I don't want to piss the
Buy-in was
wrong
pretty
person off or
easy.
anything like
Yeah.
that. So would you say?
The buy-in was pretty easy, like,
Yeah,
compared to, like, normal work where you have to get people to commit and they're just there
yeah,
for a paycheck, but everybody was there primarily because they wanted to be competitive,
yeah,
and we helped them, even if we had we had 2 people that had probably no business being on our team, and
yeah.
we took them under our wings, helped them grow, helped them figure things out, taught them a lot, and then now they're better than both of us.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, that's it's so cool. And we built friends along the way, and we just went to Nashville with a
mhm.
group of people that play Summoners War, some in Cincinnati, some not.
Shout
So
out Becky.
shout out Becky Boo. And then you have Matt over here who would absolutely love the game if he actually played. But never wanted to get into the game. I think you play like Brett and I downloaded it on your
Brent's
phone or something
Brent's
like
got
that.
it on my phone, or yeah, I maybe you guys it's I and then I secretly tried. I didn't have to secretly try it, but I secretly tried it, and I was
Without
just
telling us.
like, I don't know what the pull is. Like, I don't know if the beginning is just slow or something, but I never felt pulled in.
The beginning
Mm,
was pretty slow, and then
Yeah.
if you enjoy competitiveness, like once you get to late game, it's a lot more enjoyable.
mhm. Yeah, okay, so if you haven't seen, there's a clip on YouTube called it's a Big Bang Theory clip, and it just type in Big Bang Theory, please pass the butter. That exemplifies what Matt does when we talk Summoners War. And we don't really talk about it anymore because we're not competitive, but like when we were, we'd talk about it all the time. And Matt would fake like, oh, go ahead.
I'd heard them talk so much like about just like I knew some of the monsters' names, I knew some of the like build outs that they did. So, but I would just like either hear the monster names wrong or just purposely say, "Oh yeah, Chastoon, that's a great monster. You should get a Nat 5 of that."
I I really hope somebody
So the
knows
words
this
were
reference because it's
like
Chassoon and it's a Nat 4.
so like the words were right, but the details were just so wrong. And it
Yeah.
was just
On
scrumptious.
purpose. It was great. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Zach would always be like, "God, no." I'm just sitting there laughing at him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
But
Well,
there, I
go
just
ahead.
to add to that
Yeah,
though
please.
too, like sometimes like you just wanted to talk about Summoners or and like no one else was there. Like when we were Cincinnati roommates,
Yeah.
and I'd just be like, uh-huh. Oh yeah,
Please, I'll
Ragdoll
pass
for
the
sure,
butter.
definitely. And you're like, I know you're being sarcastic, but like I feel really hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Okay, so let's transition unless you guys have if you have anything else. Okay, let's transition and Matt until to how you and I met. Do you want to go ahead and tell that story?
Sure, yeah. So we went to the same college, uh, Wright State in Dayton, Ohio.
Right state, wrong
And
college.
Wright State Run College. um, I partially went there just because it was close to my parents, and also partially like I just knew they had like a wheelchair sports program. So I almost immediately checked out the wheelchair basketball team, and Zach was a member on the team. Um, we played together for like I was in love with it instantly. Um, and Zach and I met through that. And I will be real honest, Zach was kind of overbearing and like annoying.
No, not me.
Never.
When we first met.
Wait, an
Um,
extrovert being overbearing to an
a
introvert?
little
That's
bit.
that's crazy.
And then the next semester, I started looking for housing around the area since there wasn't a lot of dorm places,
Mm,
and called Zach, and we had the same mind, and we just kind of became roommates.
yeah, we were like, hey, let's be roommates.
I'm sure that went fantastic at first.
It was wonderful. There were no issues whatsoever.
None at
for
all.
an extrovert and an introvert living together.
Mm.
So I think my favorite story exemplifying the extrovert introvert difference was one day I was doing homework on my laptop, and I'm just like, it's on my lap, and I'm doing homework in the middle of the living room, and Zach's like, "Hey man, what you doing? How's it going?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's good. I'm doing homework." And then I just like, with the laptop on my lap, I just pushed to my room. Unconsciously, I was not thinking about this. I just kept doing my homework. And then Zach comes into my room. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're still doing your homework in your room. Right? That's great, man. So yeah, what do you want for dinner?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just went there, started pushing back out to the living room."
And yeah, we don't.
And then we learned more stuff about each other.
Yeah, and I want to say, I had never met somebody so introverted, and I didn't know what those boundaries meant. So Ryan, you owe a lot to Matt.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you. You are a godsend.
For real. It was rough I mean, honestly, kind of a short time though, because roommate shit
Yeah.
is always rough.
Yeah,
And I feel like we were on the same page enough on so many other things that, like, the introvert extrovert thing, just it wasn't great for a little bit, but it was like a month or two,
yeah.
like, before we sort of at least kind of worked some stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about boundaries, and like we were able to say
Mhm.
like, okay, if Matt has his door closed, if I have my door closed, don't come in, don't bother us. If we have it
Mhm.
open, fine, you can come in, say something, but otherwise, like that's his introvert time, and so that that was
Oh yeah, another thing I remember distinctly about that was there was a bar close by, so we used to like wheel over to the bar, and we'd go like Friday night, and we came back Friday night, and probably came back Saturday morning, but
yeah.
Saturday night it's like Zach would be like, "Let's go again." I'm like, I no man, I'm like burnt.
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't get it." And I was
Yeah.
like, my example was like you like chocolate, right? He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What if someone threw like 10 pounds of chocolate at you and said like, eat this right now?" And he's like, "Oh, okay. Like I sort of get that now."
Yeah.
And I remember telling that to a girlfriend later, and she's like, "I would just eat the 10 pounds of chocolate."
Yeah, I mean, some people eat a lot, some people don't eat a lot, but yeah, that's interesting. Real quick, from a basketball perspective, Matt would come in, and the goal was to yell "ball" as loud as you
Yeah,
possibly
there's that
can
too.
when you get a rebound. And Matt was tall, and he would get a lot of
I
rebounds.
still am tall, by the way.
Sure about that.
He was tall before he got his wreck. No, I'm kidding. He was in a wheelchair tall. He still is. So he would get the ball and he'd go ball, and like everyone would like not hear him, and like it took a long time for Matt to get the ball. And the first time that he yelled at the top of his lungs, I remember what Larry, if you remember,
yeah.
he caught the ball and just he let it just roll off of his hand, and his jaw was wide open. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Matt does have a voice." Have you heard that story
No,
before?
I haven't heard that one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah, that is a pretty good one. So, yeah, it was good. And then, I think going back to you and I being roommates, Ryan, is we had only met once before,
Yep.
and then we became roommates. And we both asked each other after what?
The pool thing?
Yeah, the pool
Yeah.
was the
Yeah, he came to Cincinnati because he went to Xavier, and
came back for a basketball game to see some buddies.
yeah.
It's like, oh. And our other friend, Mike, who's been on the podcast before, was Vision in our game. And
Mhm.
him and I have been good friends for a very long time. And him and Zach became friends playing the game too. So we were like all three like, yeah, let's meet up. Let's meet up. So
Yeah. It was pretty cool. And so we had only the when we became roommates, it was the second time, and we both kind of were like, "Hey, did you have any like concerns as us being roommates?" And the answer was pretty much no. Like you don't know being roommates with somebody how it's gonna go and all that. But like, you know, I had zero concerns you were gonna steal from me. I had zero concerns you were gonna miss a rent payment or whatever else. And I there was a mild apprehension that we might like not get along as roommates and then you'd move out, but I you know, yeah.
I think like the benefit of, you know, meeting people online, talking through Discord, whatever the case may be, is you kind of get to see the unfiltered version of them.
Yes.
So you get to see them a little bit more as to who they are. You know, when you're first interacting with people, there's a lot of walls up and a lot of barriers you have to break down. But when you're on Discord and you don't see the person, you kind of have a little bit more ability to be yourself. And I think we got to see ourselves before we
Yeah,
even
100%.
got to meet, and that was you know, I had no concerns really. I know you had expressed a lot about your time living with Matt and how he had really helped you, you know, dealing
Yeah.
with an introverted individual and living with them, and that really put my mind at ease. That was my biggest concern coming in, is knowing
Yeah.
how extroverted you are. And,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to have a roommate who's like, we have to go out every night, we have to hang
Yeah.
out, we have to do this.
Right. Right.
You know, first week we're there, we hung out a couple of times. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go downstairs and just watch TV.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you later.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wanted to put the expectation up there, like up front, that like anytime that Ryan wants to dip out, like please just let me know and go. I didn't want him to like get exhausted from hanging out and think that, oh man, I'm gonna feel bad if I tell Zach that that I want to go or whatever else. So yeah, it's been a fun ride so far. 2 years, right?
Almost 3.
Almost
It'll be
3.
3 in July.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys just became roommates.
I
Like,
know
it's
it
fun.
feels like
feels
that.
like it.
but,
Yeah.
my 3-year anniversary at work will be in August. And
Yeah.
moved in right before that.
Yeah. Now you have a dog about a little over a year old, right?
2.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Or
It'll be 2 in July.
wow. Okay.
Mhm.
Bruno.
Cutie
Bruno.
patootie.
Yeah, Bruno's one of the best dogs ever.
He's an absolute turd.
He-
but he is such a good dog.
He's in his teenage years, but like he listens so well. And like Ryan and I have synced up on like if I'm working from home, I'll watch him, and we've synced up on like commands and stuff like that. And like maybe one day I'll put the tricks that he can do on YouTube because they're quite impressive, some of the tricks that he can do. So
Yeah, we did a lot of work. I think the one I'm most impressed with is the one you did with the hug.
yeah.
Like, that's my favorite. Like
Yeah.
just a little cuddle, you know, feels good.
So I will touch my shoulders and say up or something like that. I'll just touch my shoulders and he'll just know to jump up here. And then I'll point to my shoulder and say hug, and he'll just put his head down on my shoulder, and it's adorable. So
Cutie patootie. He's like 50, 60 pounds. Like,
He's probably pushing 60 now. He was 52 last time I took him to the vet, but I think he's gotten a little bigger recently. I
Yeah.
feel like.
yeah, I think so. He's he's part collie and part something else. We don't know what
Yeah.
that something else is.
oh my
Yeah.
God, his ears. He does
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
it's like
Sonar.
very expressive ears.
I
Yeah.
think you can hear us talking right now.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about us being roommates, what is something quirky or unusual that you've seen me do? Because I do some weird things, I think, that are quite unusual. Something that nobody else would see. Who wants to start?
Brian
So-
wants to start, I think.
I think my favorite thing is how crazy you react when someone scares you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. And the first time it happened, I didn't even realize that, you know, you reacted that way.
Yeah.
But Zach full on screams like a 10-year-old girl. when someone hears him.
That's true.
And it is so hysterical. The first time it happened, it was a complete coincidence. I had just walked upstairs as he was walking, or he was washing dishes.
Mm.
And he's sitting there washing a knife. I come out. I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
he doesn't hear me. Like the door open, like it's pretty loud. Like, how did he not hear me? And I kind of like walk a little closer. I'm just like, hey. It's like, don't stab me. It's just me.
Yeah, I
Was that how long ago was that?
That was probably the
did you
first like
start-
6 months we were
yeah,
living together.
yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I feel like since we've been going to the gym, like, if it was after that, you might have got stabbed.
You know, I don't even think the thought in my head to defend myself with the knife came
Right.
about. It was just like, oh yeah. Like and I just so happened to have like the knife and I didn't want to like stab myself, so I had it up and it looked like very threatening. So okay, that's interesting because I thought because I'm in a wheelchair, I sometimes will like get distracted and get on my phone and I will stop in some of the weirdest places. And so you'll come up from from the basement and just look at me like sitting in the middle of the room, kind of like face to you or whatever else, and you'll be like, hi.
That was
Yeah.
gonna be mine. I feel like I've a number of times just gone into a dark room. I was like, oh, hey, what you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
Yep. So we have in our garage, there's a timer on the light in there.
Yeah.
And there have been probably I don't know, 4 or 5 times that I've walked out to, grab a soda from our fridge out in the garage. And I open the door and I just see his car and I see the light in his face. And I'm just like,
That's a thing, though. I don't know if that was a thing just between you, me, and Brent, or just like getting out of the car is just too tough. So, like, let's just chill for about 2 hours on YouTube.
Yeah, right. For me, it's like almost like a safe space. Like not to
There's
say that
that
the
too.
house isn't safe. It's just like it's comfortable just chilling in my car. And I used to do that when I was younger too. And I don't know. It was just a good time to do whatever the heck I wanted on my phone. So all right. I got a very controversial question.
oh, fun.
Oh
Uh
boy.
who's the better roommate?
Oof.
Matt.
Fight. You would cave like that.
No, you, Ryan. I'll fight you about this. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, I know. It was
yours is pretty good.
just a fun question. Yeah, I mean, you guys both turned into my best friends, so I guess it went well. Okay, so what's the key to ensuring we were successful roommates, given we are such different people?
You have anything?
You sort of touched on something before, like there was like the closed door policy. So like there were times in that first couple months, like I was in my room, the door was closed, and you still came in. I was like, "What are you doing? That's not what people do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
don't do that." And I think I like from the extrovert side, like I don't think I would have ever explicitly told you that.
mm-hmm.
So it was good that you like saw whatever you saw and brought it up and made it explicit. So I mean, I think that's what worked.
Yeah. I think open communication, right?
Right.
I think that's the general theme there.
I'd have to
Mhm.
agree. I think,
For
like,
sure.
I don't know about you, Matt, but expressing, negative emotion or thoughts about anything is not easy for me.
Yeah.
I've been in therapy for so long about that. Yes.
Yeah. But Zach, you really made it easy to just be like, hey, I just need some alone time tonight.
Yeah.
Like, love you, buddy,
Mhm.
but I'm just
Yeah.
going to go do this. And I think, like, the respect for that boundary was
Mhm.
really what,
Yeah.
I appreciated the most is that
Mhm.
you were willing. And I know it's not easy for you because you do want to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it's an interesting just knowing what your boundaries are, even though that they are different than my boundaries, and making a extra effort to respect those boundaries. So, um, yeah, I think that's
And I will say vice versa too. Like, sometimes you'll push and it's like like because you know what the boundaries are, you kind of know. Sometimes you don't, but sometimes you do.
sometimes I cross them. Yeah.
Sometimes you do. But like sometimes like it's time to push too. Like,
Hmm.
man, like there's a time where I just like wasn't coming to the gym like a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
And you're like in the gentlest, best possible way. It's like, come on, man, like can't be skipping out too much. Like I get you need your introvert time, but it feels like it's you're using it as an excuse at this point. Like, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other the flip side of that is I used to want to be around people all the time. Like I'd get uncomfortable being by myself, and I've learned to uh be okay being by myself, and also knowing when, like, hey, I actually do need a little bit of downtime for myself, even though I get energy off of being around other people. So, yeah, cool.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Like you felt uncomfortable not being around people.
Um, I I like talking to people. And maybe to get a little bit more vulnerable, I don't know that I liked myself for a little bit. I didn't like who I was, and I brought this up in other podcasts, but like Jordan Peterson, I mean, his 12 rules for life, it changed my life, and one of my biggest lessons from him, and this is a 10 commandment, and I never heard it this way. It was Jordan Peterson says in one of his rules for life, tell the truth or at least don't lie. And he got into one of these conversations about how, like, it's easier to not lie to other people than it is to lie to yourself. And I noticed that, like, I would make a commitment, let's say, and I noticed that I would, if it didn't involve anybody else, I'd be like, oh, I don't have to commit. I don't have to follow through on that because it's just me. It doesn't matter. And I did that time and time and time again, and it was pretty toxic mentality, and I realized that, whoa, that is a lie that I'm doing to myself. Like, it's one thing to say I'm gonna run a marathon tomorrow and not run a mile in my entire life, which is probably true. I don't really run.
That.
Ah. No, but like, and the other thing that I think both of you have helped me with is I get excited about something, and I say all these bold things, and I have these super huge ambitions in the moment because I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited about it, and it's like, but is it realistic? And Matt's really like, as pessimistic as you are sometimes about things, you actually are more leveling and
I
realistic.
think it's good balance.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so you you've worked with me a lot on, like, hey, but is that a realistic goal? And it's like, no, it's actually not. Or I might say, okay, well, let's see if it's a realistic goal. And then, if it's not, I think learning, if I do make a commitment that's bold and that I can't follow through with, forgiving myself and saying, okay, what did we learn? Because it's not like, I think for a while I was scared of failure, and it's like, no, failure's so good because as long as you learn something, right? I used to fail and just beat myself up and say, like, I'm crap, whatever else. So Yeah, so I think that's maybe the long answer to your question.
It's nice to understand that about you. So
Yeah. Okay,
I
so
think before we move on, I think on the flip side of that, uh, where you would put out like you're just in your feelings at the moment, like I want to do like 100 YouTube episodes or something,
yeah,
like right now, like that's my goal.
yeah,
Like you haven't done one yet.
right.
Like I think that's how I felt about it. But I think on the other side, and my girlfriend's like this too, just like there's brainstorm mode too. And even on like I'm just even in brainstorm mode, I know I've just been like shutting to like, no, don't do this. Like it's not realistic. You can't. I feel like if you turn on brainstorm mode and just like you can say whatever you want right now, as
Mm,
long as I think that's a happy medium to
yeah,
like, you know, I feel I'm in my feelings right now, and this is I feel like I just feel like $1,000,000. Let's do whatever you want. Brainstorm mode on.
mm,
Matt, shut up. Realism doesn't matter right now.
mm, yeah,
Zach, shut up. Realism doesn't matter right now. It's just how I feel.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, and then we can turn the realism back on. We can weed it out later.
Mm.
Uh,
That's an interesting. I don't know that I've heard you say that frame of thought before.
well,
That's
that's
pretty cool.
thank you, girlfriend. For
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that works super well. Is I do as an extrovert, I like to brainstorm externally, whereas you guys maybe put some more thought into things before you actually say it externally. So
Right. Yeah. The wheels start turning of like, well, what do we have to do to make that happen? And da, da, da.
mm,
Like, just shut that off for a second.
yeah,
And just like, well, wouldn't it be fun if we did have $1,000,000? I
yeah.
don't know.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so I want to get into the theme podcast question, but first, let's just do a quick rapid fire little fun thing. So, again, how this works is just say one word or one sentence, and then I'll jump on to the next one. Sometimes it's gonna be at Ryan, sometimes it's gonna be at Matt, sometimes it's gonna be at both of you. So I'll say your name first, but as I do it. So starts off with you, Ryan. Ryan, whiskey or beer?
ooh.
Come on. This is rapid
I
fire.
I know, but it's so mood dependent.
Okay. Right,
Beer.
right now. Okay, okay.
Oh, I was thinking you were going to say whiskey. All right.
I was too actually. It's
I love
interesting.
my whiskey, but I like it for like a good relaxation. A nice pour is really nice.
Yeah. Matt, gin or beer?
Gin.
Okay.
You're correct. Mood dependent. I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah. Both of you prime rib or smoked brisket?
Brisket.
Brisket.
All right. Ryan, golf swing or bowling strike?
Golf.
Matt, Mario or Zelda? If you say the wrong
Zelda.
answer. Oh, you really?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Wait,
So
play or watch?
yeah, okay, that's a good call. That's a good call. So for those that don't know, to tell them about your Mario.
Oh, okay. There's just a beautiful community online of Super Mario ROM hacking. And it's basically they take Super Mario World and they legally just move all the stuff around and make their own games. There's these huge productions of like 20 people, and you can't sell anything, so this is all done for free just because they want to, and they learn assembly code. Uh, it's a beautiful world to get into. Not a lot of streamers, but some streamers that I really like watching do that. It's just crazy hard platforming levels. Uh,
Is that why they
and
made Mario
that's
Maker?
what
Is that why they made like the
it
Mario Maker game?
might be, because that was for sure there before Mario Maker existed.
Mhm.
And I think Nintendo might have just seen that and said, we can't legally stop them from doing this. So let's just monetize this.
Mhm.
And also give you like
Yeah.
their coding kind of to let you do what you want to do. I think that's kind of a
Mhm.
cool way to go about that instead of trying to prevent it. Just hey, we're gonna make a game for you guys to do whatever you want with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's people that have made
And
some
it
pretty
is,
cool
I
levels.
mean, when you get like a team, like millions of dollars behind a game, you can like make it a lot more smooth and slick than
Mhm.
like 20 people like trying to hack stuff together. Although I will say the 20 people trying to hack stuff together do pretty good. Kind of like you were saying before, like they're passionate about it. And not that the people that work at Nintendo aren't passionate, but like it's their job. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So
So
Matt,
I like watching people do that, but those games are so hard and they're not fun to play. So I
yeah,
just like watching people do that.
yeah. Matt has a goal to play all the Zeldas before he dies. That's a bucket list item.
Mhm.
Which I expected you to say Mario, just because you kind of, I mean, you watch a lot of YouTube videos about Mario and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So, I got into it a little bit. It's not my cup of tea, but it's fun to watch. Carl Sagan 42 every so often. Um, Okay, both of you from a rapid fire. That was a really, really good, fast answer. No, I provoked it, so I'm just kidding. Cats or dogs? I know the answer.
Dogs.
Cats.
Yeah,
Weirdo.
yeah, for real. Stand up comedy or sitcoms?
Sitcoms.
Stand up comedy.
Yeah. Deck hang or video game night?
Ooh,
Video game night.
that's
Oh,
tough.
really? Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
What, you too?
No, I mean,
Oh,
that's another 50. I don't know. Video game night with people or by myself?
I'm thinking with us.
Oh, with us?
Yeah.
Oh, deck hang.
Oh, okay. All right. But individually, you video games.
Mhm.
I feel
Okay,
like we could do the same thing, but just
that's true.
one of us is playing a video game. Let's have a video game night.
All right, let's go.
I'll be honest, I'm not a huge like Nintendo video game person.
I
I do
don't
like
think-
Pokemon, but that's about it.
If one of y'all plays, let's just hang out.
I'd be down.
What would be your useless superpower? Superpower.
Useless.
Yeah.
Let's-
If you don't have one, I can move on to the next
I
question.
mean, like superpower. I can just do superpower. I don't know that I can think of a useless
It's
superpower.
tough to think of a useless one.
In college, I for Halloween I did Miracle Man, and I was in a wheelchair, and so it was just funny that
Have you
like
told that story before?
I mean that's I don't know if there's much of a story other than that.
So
kind of is.
miracle.
Oh, the pickup
The-
line or
No, well, there was that, but the inventor guy.
oh no, I haven't talked
Oh,
about the wheelchair inventor. I actually for tomorrow I thought about because that would take 5 minutes to explain that guy, and I have pictures of it too. So like
Okay, rock
I
on.
thought about doing that tomorrow, but I don't know. We'll see. Um, no, so
I can't really think of anything useless. That's
okay,
my favorite superpower is always telekinesis.
yeah, okay. Do you have a favorite?
I like teleportation.
That's telekinesis, Kyle.
Which telekinesis no, it's different.
My thought is like you
It's
can make
like-
something fly and get yourself there.
How fast can you make it fly though?
If you're telekinetic, I mean, limit does not exist.
Yeah, but what if your skin falls off because
What
you're
a-
going too,
yeah,
too
what
fast?
if-
What if you
Limits of
like
you
75 miles an
fly.
hour? Bugs hitting you in the face.
Extra protein. Okay. If you could swap lives for 1 week with each other, what would you do?
My first answer is not podcast appropriate.
Okay.
Walk.
What are you going to say? Pee standing up?
That's a good one.
I like walk though. That was a
That's
good
good.
answer.
That's good.
Yeah.
I would totally use be like that guy who uses the disability to just like, I'm going to be first in line. I'm going to park in the best spot. The little things like that.
I've thought about doing like a YouTube channel of like making content of just being like super socially awkward around people, which I already do and love to do. Just making people feel awkward, like opening the door for people. I mean, I talk about this, I feel like every
People
episode,
get
but
so uncomfortable when you hold the door for them. It's wild to me.
it's hysterical.
I've had like whilst I am holding the door, they'll come by and just be like, "I got that." I'm like, "No, bro, I got it."
Yeah, like no, I've got it. And then you've got there's so many. Real quick, we mentioned wheelchair inventor. I worked at a retail store back in the day, and we were told to like if somebody comes within like a certain distance of you, you go up and talk to them. And there's this guy that was looking at something, and I went over and talked to him, and he's like, "No, I'm okay, thank you." And as I'm like doing other work, he kept looking over at me, and I'd look over, and he'd just look away. And then eventually, he came up to me. He goes, "Hey, I'm
I
a
really wish I
wheelchair."
would've been here for that.
Well, you can't hear you.
I really wish I would have been like just a fly on the wall.
Yeah. So he's like, "Hey, I'm a wheelchair inventor. I'd love to show you my designs." And gosh, the designs, I'll just name a few. So I tried to avoid it. And he's like, "When do you get off work?" I'm like, "Oh, 6." And he goes, "Great. I'll be here at 6 to show you everything." So he takes me out to his car, and he's got all the wheelchair inventions in his trunk, right? And dude, he pulls out the weirdest inventions. He pulls out um a clear face mask, one that you'd use to like keep like splatter coming on onto your face or whatever. And it's one of those visor things that you can like lift up, and then it just covers your and then lift down, and it covers your face, and it straps to your head. And he says, instead of an umbrella, which I can't hold, I can I can use that as a face mask to keep the rain away from my face. He also gave me a poncho, which I don't know how you invented that, but go ahead. He also gave me, Matt, I'm running out. What else? What else did he make? He made
There was visor. There was
the poles.
pole
The
pushing.
poles was my favorite. So he had these wooden poles with crutch tips at the end, at both ends, and he goes, "You can carry these in a crutch holder, and whenever your front wheels get stuck in a pothole, which has never, ever, ever, ever happened in my entire life."
And even if it did, but
And even if it did, it wasn't practical. But he said that if I get stuck in a pothole, I can go ahead and push these down on the ground and lift my front wheels up off the ground. And that'll help prevent me from getting in a pothole instead of
just
backing up, getting my front wheels off, doing a wheelie, and being done with it. But anyway, he also gave me
carry these around always. with
yeah,
you.
yeah, just in case my front wheels get stuck in a pot he also gave me an electronic fly swatter. And he goes,
You guys got some use out of that.
"Yeah, we did."
Did you hit each other with it?
Oh yeah.
You and Brent.
Yeah,
like, I'd
Brent and
survive. I was not in for that.
we would hit it, and he goes, but he goes, "This isn't a wheelchair invention, but I want you to have it." It's like, okay, cool. The other thing he did was he pulled out this blue rope that was like 25 foot long. He goes, "I don't have an invention for a seatbelt yet, but you can tie this around your waist." And it was like, oh my gosh.
Invention.
So I dressed up as that, as a wheelchair inventor for Halloween, and wore the poncho,
It
the
was
face
so
mask.
good, though.
And everyone else was like, "What are you?"
Who the hell are you?
I'd be like, "Guess." Everyone's like threw out some things, and they could not get it, of course. But I was like, "I'm a wheelchair inventor." And then they'd look at me like, "What are you talking about, wheelchair inventor?"
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy story. So, okay. Let's get into the theme question. What keeps you rolling forward? Matt, you start.
Please expand on that question.
Ooh, what gets you up out of bed every morning?
I like my mom's answer to this, and it's coffee.
Coffee. I like it. Okay.
And there's a little bit of not depth to it. There's a little lack of depth to it, I guess. I don't think day to day I'm pulled forward by big grand things.
Yeah.
I think it's just maybe little just nudges like I could eat a salad or I could eat chicken wings or I don't know. It's little itty bitty decisions like that. And then somehow that sums up over time. Either direction, it just sums up over time. But day to day, I feel like it's just the itty bitty decisions that keep me rolling forward.
I like it. Ryan?
I've never been a very internally motivated individual. I've always kind of found my motivations external.
Hmm.
For me, it's, you know, my friends, my family, my coworkers. Like that's why I go to work every day. What I do for work is not very pleasant majority of the time, and I always, I like the phrase like you don't have to pick me up out of the mud. Sometimes you just need someone to sit there in the mud with you.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that's so good.
And that's kind of how I feel about like I don't want anyone to like they sit in the mud with me, I sit in the mud with them, we get the
Yeah.
job done.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me going. More recently it's been my girlfriend, working towards building us a future. And
Heck yeah.
for a long time there was like no hope for me. Felt like the hopeless romantic who just was going to be forever alone, and met someone very special to me. And now everything I do every single day is to try and build us a future and get us one day closer to being together and happy.
I'm gonna clip this and send it to her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love you,
that's
Claire.
awesome. Yeah. What'd you say?
Love you, Claire.
Yes. Matt hasn't said I love you to his girlfriend yet. That's no, I'm just kidding. Robin, how do you feel about that? No, I'm kidding. But
Oh, I was talking to a work friend about that too. Before I had said it, and God, it was so sarcastic. I was just like, Rachel, I don't know, I haven't said it yet, and I think I might tell her that I like really. She's like, really, you're all bottled up to tell her that you really like her. I'm like, yeah, fair enough, Rachel. Thank you.
that's awesome. Ryan, Matt, can you share what you guys do?
Absolutely, yeah. You want to go first, though?
Sure. I am a programmer at an insurance company. I worked with the sales team to like it's all internal apps. So like the sales team has some tracking software, and I worked on that. And now I'm in the evil department of claims, and I'm working on telling you all no to your claims right now. There's this big no. My job's real easy. I just make a no button.
There's
and
a
that's
no
it.
button. I love it. Brian?
So I park cars. That's what I do for a living.
No, you do so much more than that.
So I basically do property management for parking facilities,
Yeah.
garages, lots, valet, whatever that may be. Mostly managing people, and yeah. So I work in parking. I park cars.
Okay, so and Matt, you have time to think about this, but Ryan, you've had some crazy things happen to you
Oh yeah.
doing these things. Can you share one?
Oh yeah. So my favorite story to tell is because I've heard a lot of stories about crazy things that have happened in parking. Actually, I have two. One's not really mine, but the other one is 100% mine.
Okay.
So I'm sitting at work one day. I get a text message from my client at my facility. She's like, "Hey, somebody just called us. Have you seen a deer?" And I go, "We're in downtown. Like, no, I haven't seen a deer." She's like, "Well, someone just called and said there was a deer running around in the garage." It's like, what the heck? So, I go take my walk around. I look for the deer. I'm like, all right, so I see nothing. I go check the cameras. I see a deer limp in on one leg. but I keep looking and I'm like, I never see him come out.
Oh no.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, this deer's got to be around here somewhere. So I start walking the outside of the facility and I find a deer on its last breath right outside of the garage. And I'm freaking out, not knowing what to do. Some guy comes running over to me and he's like, hey, I called animal control. I don't know what happened. I'm sitting here in the parking lot. I see this thing jump off of the third story of the garage. And I'm just like,
Wow.
he's like, it had to have been a person, like, but it looked like a deer. And he goes over there and he's like, why is a deer here? I send that story to my bosses, and my bosses and I made some really funny jokes. And he's like, you just got to charge him the dearly Matt.
Oh, no.
Did he pay you in bucks? That one was the wildest thing I've experienced. The second one was my employee who has now taken over that garage and is helping me with it. I get a text picture from him one day while he's working, and it is a picture of a couple of boxes of adult protection,
Oh.
all unused,
Okay.
and
Thank goodness.
a bottle of, like, I think it was a bottle of tequila and a bottle of Hennessy and
What?
a bag of corn on the cob. The bag was probably about this big.
Okay.
And it's just corn on the cob.
Yeah.
Please tell me it's uncooked.
No, it was cooked.
Okay.
And
Kind of
it was
big.
like white see-through bag. And he goes, I really want to know what happened up here.
That's the part I can't get past. All of the rest of it I can get past. Why is it cooked in a bag?
We can't figure it out.
That's so weird.
That one gets me to this day. Everyone I tell at work is just like, what?
Okay, so my work story was okay. Well, I'll tell this one because it's quick. At the retail place that I used to work at, I was up front waiting for a customer, and I was kind of like just twirling my keys and whatever else. And this lady, complete stranger, walks by me, and she goes, "You lazy ass! Why don't you get up and do something?" And I just laughed hysterically. Like, that takes so much balls for someone to say something like that to a guy in a wheelchair, a complete stranger. And I like, she kept walking, and I was like, wait, ma'am. Sorry, but I just need to shake your hand because I am going to tell this story for the rest of my life. This is awesome. Thank you.
That was like 20 years ago, probably.
Whoa. I'm 21, okay? That was when I was 1 years old.
Years ago.
Yeah, 19.
Fun fact, Zach is actually closer to my mother's age than he is to my own age.
My goodness.
That's true. But okay, so my other story, I worked as a personal banker, and you guys, I'm curious if you remember. I think you remember this story, but I worked as a personal banker, and there's this old lady that I was taking care of in my office, and she needed to deposit a check or something like that, and among other things. So I took care of her, and I was sitting in my office chair at the time, and I had wheels on that weren't the correct wheels for this wheelchair. And the wheels are quick release. That's good context for the story. So you push a button and they come off.
Didn't you used to, like, if you got like a flat, you put like, and I did this too, you put like your basketball chair wheels on.
Yeah. And they didn't quite fit on all the way. They didn't lock in. And so I went and I transferred from my office chair to my wheelchair, and I put weight on my right wheel. And all of a sudden I hear a ting, and that's like, you know what that is if you're in a wheelchair. It's just a ting, and it means my wheelchair just fell off. And it was slow-mo for me from then on out. My wheel fell off, and it was just one wheel, so I just boom right on the floor. and my wheel rolled, like it didn't just stop. It rolled across my office, banged into the wall, and made a huge noise, and then it crashed on the ground. And this old lady was freaking out as this happened. And she like half gets up out of her chair and she goes, "Help! Help!" And I was probably 3 months into personal banking, and like the one thing I know that you don't do at a bank is yell help. Like
I didn't even think about that.
and I freaked out because she yelled help, and I can walk a little bit, I could stand. So I instantly got up off the ground, stood up, and went, "Shh. It's okay, it's okay." And this
And then she
lady,
yelled, "Faker! Fake! Faker!"
it was even better. This lady had no idea what to do. She was like in that upright position. I stood up and shushed her, and she just leaned back and she's like, "Oh my God." Cool. I don't know what she was thinking, but so I run all the way across my office, which it wasn't a big office, but I hobble, let's say. Run is even the right word, but I hobble across my office, pick up my wheel real quick, slap it on my chair, sit back down. I look outside my office and there's like 10 people, customers, employees. They're all like wondering what the heck just happened because they heard this bang and oh man, so embarrassing, but definitely a good story that I'll tell for the rest of my life. So, anyway, any, okay, so Matt, did you tell a good?
That sort of reminds me of like a very early, so like programming. I don't know. I've always had some really chill coworkers, which does not lend itself to cool stories. But back when I worked at the library right after my injury, um, like I was getting into my car and I had to take the wheelchair apart, and this was a very new thing for me to do. So I took one wheel off, put it in. I took another wheel off, or wait, no, I took one wheel off, and it just like fell off and rolled away.
And you
And
can't walk.
and I cannot walk.
You're paralyzed from the
So I
waist
was
down.
in the car and I was taking my chair apart, and then the one wheel rolls away, and then like I took the other one off, and I was so pissed because I was like 18, 19, and I threw it at it. And one of the chillest coworker at the library comes out, Mary Jo. If you're listening to this ever, thank you for this. This was great. She just comes out, and she's like, "Well, that was pretty stupid." And she's like, "But I bet it felt good though." I'm like, "You can go get my wheels for me, Mary Jo?"
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. The funny story, and you tell me if you wanna talk about this, but the guy with a hat and birds.
I don't remember that.
Yes,
Oh,
you
yes, I
do.
do. Yeah, all right. Yeah, there's that as well. So at my current job, they're right as I like the first week I got there, there were some nice people, um, just like, "Hey, you're new here. Like, let's all go to lunch and like hang out a little bit." It was the dead of summer. We go down to the cafeteria, and one we're going outside because it's a nice day to have lunch outside, and one guy just sort of like he's bald, and he sticks his head out the door, and he's like, I'm like, "Oh, what you doing, bud?" It's like, "Well, um it's I don't have my hat." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Please continue with that thought. And he's like, "Well, there's this one time a bird shit on my head." And it only takes one time for that to happen before you start not ever going out without your hat. And I'm like, "That's fair, dude. Like, that's fair." So This dude ended up being really cool. As most quirky, weird people are. But yeah, that was a fun first impression I got of this guy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite stories I think you've told. Among the other like just annoying IT things that you get, like, hey, did you try turning it off and back on and all that?
It's a saying for a reason. It does work about 50% of the time.
50.
50%.
I expected it to be more than that for some reason. I don't know.
We do have jobs for a reason.
Yeah, well,
If your boss is listening, it works. It never works.
Never
You
works
always have to spend 2
unless
hours on
they talk
everything.
with us.
yeah. Okay. What role? And Ryan, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but let me ask you this: how do you reset when you're burnt out? And what is burnt out to you?
For me, last summer working, I keep telling the story because I have a couple of new employees who are being rudely awakened to kind of the work demands of what we do.
Yeah.
And I told them, last June I worked 29 out of the 30 days, and last July I worked 28 of the 30.
What?
Yeah.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last summer was probably the most I've ever worked in
Oh my
a 2-month
God.
period. I was completely and utterly exhausted. And for me, resetting is puppy cuddles.
Puppy cuddles.
Puppy
He's a
cuddles.
good cuddler too,
Yeah.
Bruno.
Nothing's better than just laying on the couch. I don't know why he thinks he's still a lap dog. 60 pounds laying right on my chest is not the most pleasant, but it is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, real quick. When I'm working at home and he's there, he has a bed that's like, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet behind me, but for some reason he likes to get under my wheelchair, like completely under to where like his nose is on my like foot plate, and like I will just make a slight movement with my wheelchair and he'll just book it out of there. Like he knows like he's in a dangerous spot, but like I don't know if it's a safe spot for him or yeah. Yeah, he just wants to be like so close to you all the time, and it's great.
You're
So,
sitting at a desk. There's 90% chance that his head is just laying on your thigh.
yeah,
Like he just loves doing that.
yeah, yeah. It's adorable. Matt,
What was the question?
how do you reset when you're burned out, and what is burnout to you?
I think burnout from it happens mostly at work, I think. So I never worked 29 out of 30 days. That's crazy. But I have worked a lot of hours a day for a long period of time.
Mm.
And it's mentally taxing work. So I think I read on the internet or something, saw on the internet, so it must be true that like chess players burn, like top level competitive chess players burn like 6,000 calories a day when they're like in a competition. So it's just really like I remember coming back some days, like some weeks after that, like after just having a real rough week of like trying to figure out how to build this system up. And um, you would want to talk like some
Yeah.
deep philosophical thing or have a deep conversation. And I'm just like, I don't have it in me, dude.
Yeah.
Like the brain is off right now.
Yeah.
I think what works and what I do are two different things. I think what I do is like YouTube and just like, cause it is brain off for YouTube. It's just take stuff in
Yeah.
and don't think. I think like sitting back out on the porch and just like not thinking though for a little bit is also just real nice, especially when it's now like it's warm outside and it's just,
Yeah.
right, like brain off, thoughts stopped. Oh, it's pretty out. And
Yeah.
that's the extent of the thinking.
Yeah. That's interesting because you're right. I like to get obviously we like to joke around, but I also like to get pretty serious and have like deep intellectual conversations. And sometimes it breaks my heart that you're not in the mood, but I completely understand. So yeah, that's interesting. I reset when I get burnout. I don't know. Uh, that's a really interesting. So
Did you stump yourself?
yeah, right. Well,
Can I
it's
share what I observe?
yeah. Go ahead. Oh yeah. Wait.
I
Let me say this real quick. Is I I get burnt out uh from like doing my day job too much. Like we have a busy time and like it's stuff that's kind of monotonous and some of it's pretty tedious and it's really detail oriented. And so sometimes I get burnt out from doing that. Um but I'm still doing this stuff and all that, but go ahead.
I notice when you're drained the most is when you're playing video games.
That's so
Personally, I
true.
think that's what I've noticed. Like if I come home and you're playing Zelda,
Yeah.
I'm usually like, oh, he's pretty beat.
Yeah.
Um,
Does
Interesting.
that mean that's like the recoup for you? Is that how you get out of it?
Well, I
Or
I try to stay away
does it
from video
cause the
games.
draining?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think it causes the draining.
hmm,
Because I have a very addictive personality
same.
and when I get into a game, I just want to play it all the time. And that sometimes comes with the consequence of avoiding other things that I should be doing. And so I'll put them off and then not. I mean, shoot, like I did that in college. That's one of the reasons why I didn't graduate is I was playing Skyrim or Oblivion or one of those games and just decided I was gonna skip a class here and then I beat myself up so much that I skipped another class and another one and then that didn't work out. So
Yeah, some other friends came over at one point, like because you had just been out of it
yeah.
for too long, and they like came over and were like, "Zach, are you alive?"
Yeah. My parents, I like when that happens, it's a spiral, and it's just one thing. It's like a domino effect. And I avoid it. I think I'm a lot better at avoiding it now. But like, it got so bad where I was depressed, but also playing this video game where my parents actually drove from Columbus to Dayton an hour and 15 minutes to make sure I was okay. And I was like, "Whoa, that was probably one of my darkest times of my life." So, um, but yeah, when I play video games, I do really enjoy some video games, but I also I I need to find that I still haven't found that balance, which is why I only am pretty selective on when I play a video game and what video games I do play or like sometimes we'll play Mario Kart and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and you know that's not something that I'm gonna play for hours and hours and hours and hours. And
2 or
it's
3 hours, and
yeah,
we're
y-
pretty much done by then.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, recently I've been playing a game, and it's interesting.
Which game are you playing?
It's called Breath Edge.
Yeah.
Really, it's Subnautica esque if anybody knows what that is, and it's a slapstick Subnautica type of game. It's inappropriate for kids, so no kids playing it. Um, anyway, but yeah, thanks for. I think that's interesting. Um, I don't think I play video games enough to fully say yes, I agree with that statement. But I mean, we did just come out of our busy period at work. I have been like balls to the wall and doing like designing the studio and everything else. And you know, I think this was a good like, okay, I just need to escape for a little bit. So
I think a little bit to Matt's point of like not thinking. Like
yeah,
typically when I come upstairs, you're listening to like a Jordan Peterson podcast or something like that, Joe Rogan, whatever the case is, podcasts, news, whatever it is. More recently, you've been Brook and Jubiling out, and where you can just kind of enjoy it. And that was a big change that I noticed. And I feel like that I noticed how stressed out you were with work. And I think that, you know, to Matt's point, just kind of turning your brain off for a little bit, it's just so nice.
Yeah, you know, it's fun. One of the reasons why I love talking to you guys is because you help me realize things about myself a little bit faster than maybe I would realize it. The Brook and Jubal in the morning. But by the way, just real quick, there's a thing called Second Date Update that Brook and Jubal. It's a radio show that used to happen back in the day, and there's these. They if someone isn't getting a hold of the date that they went on and wants to get a hold of them, they'll call the podcast. They'll call Brook and Jubal, and Brook and Jubal will call this person and see if they can get a second date. So that's the Second Date Update. And yeah, I have been listening.
Entertaining.
It's very entertaining. Yeah. I have been listening to it a lot recently, and I didn't realize that switch was maybe because I just wanted to turn my brain off and not listen to anything intellectual or anything like that. So that's a really interesting observation. So, yeah, okay. So let's talk a little bit about disability. So let's start with
Which ability?
Huh?
Which ability?
Disability.
Oh, not disability.
No, not
that
disability. That ability? My ability. Superheroes. Let's talk Matt first. Do you mind sharing your disability as much as you want for the podcast?
Yes, I mind.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I am paralyzed from the waist down, T12. I had a skiing accident when I was 18, senior in high school. We had a senior skip day, middle of the year. My two best friends and I all went skiing. It was the first time ever, and I didn't know this was a thing. So like the skis can be like fries. So like they're parallel and you go fast, or like pizza and they're like pointed in and you go slow. I didn't know pizza and fries. So I just went fries the whole way.
I missed the South Park episode.
Is that from South Park?
If you, what is it? Like if you pizza or French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're gonna have a bad time.
Oh, I had such a bad time, dude. Fries the whole time. So right before lunch, we went on the intermediate slope, which, I mean, I was obviously flying down the beginner slopes because I was frying down the whole time. Fell down, hit a ski lift pole, couldn't feel my legs, and that happened. What else should I should I share?
I think that's a good synopsis. I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Yeah, so it is interesting. I guess, and Ryan, I'll include you in this question. So, would you rather have a disability at birth or later on in life?
Ooh,
So, real quick, for everybody that doesn't know, I have spina bifida. I was born like this, have a hole in my back. I can walk a little bit. I'm paralyzed from just below the knees. I got a good luck of the draw from like a lot of other people with spina bifida, because some other people are. There's cognitive disabilities and also like higher physical disabilities as well. So I think I lucked out on that. So, yeah, let's say
from birth or
my disability from birth or your disability now.
I'm gonna go my disability now.
Okay.
Because we're my girlfriend and I are seeing like this massage guy, and he keeps like my legs keep shaking, and he seems to know his stuff, and he's like, maybe there's like something that can like come back. So there was a spinal cord connection, and now there isn't, but maybe as medicine and technology improve, there could be again.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think maybe just based on that. I don't know. I think otherwise, like, I don't know. You had a lot of childhood stuff as well
I
that I
did. I've had like
think I would want
15,
to go
20
through.
I've had like 15, 20 surgeries in my life.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had a lot of surgeries like all at once though.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is not very bad. It's as far I again luck of the draw. Like
Yeah.
I think I had like one or two.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
There was no organ damage. There was just like the spine, and that was it.
Mm,
So
okay.
I mean, not that was it, but
That
like
was it.
that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think, and I guess it's good that happened to both of us because I think I'd want the birth effect. And the reason being is because it's all I've ever known. Like I've never known, and this is what I say to people, I've never known what it's like to stub my toe. Like I've never known what it's like to move my feet. Like I can deduce a lot of things based on what other people do and all that. Like when someone stubs their toe and they can feel it, I'm like, oh, I cringe because I know how bad it hurts. Like so but yeah, I think disability too for me and like for you like getting into like wheelchair sports and stuff like that, like I had the privilege of growing up playing wheelchair sports my entire life, and of course now I'm coaching. So Ryan, what would you
Uh, Personally, like I I think recovering from an injury takes a lot more resilient of an individual. And I think that's a big testament to you, Matt. Like, I don't know that I could mentally cope with later in life losing the ability to walk. Like, I think I would immensely struggle with that. I think there's some element of like at birth, maybe envy, jealousy, but I think like the almost like sheer just maybe anger, anxiety, and depression that I think can stem from losing that ability. I think it's a testament to who you are as a person, Matt, that you've become
Thanks.
who you are. So I think I don't know that I could cope with it, to be completely honest. So
yeah, sure. Matt, can you get into that a little bit? Are you comfortable getting into that? Wait, can I just say you said envy or jealousy? Um, I I think I was fortunate to have parents who raised me the right way, and I never had that jealousy or envy with anybody. My mom tells the story of me when I was a kid, and I said something. I don't know what the situation was, but I said something like, "Mom, I wish everybody were on crutches," which is kind of weird because you would think I'd say, "Mom, I wish I was like everybody else." And I think
That's what
that's
you said.
well, yeah, that is what I said. I didn't say I wish I was able-bodied and I could feel my legs. I said I wish everybody else was on crutches, and that was I don't know necessarily why I said that, but like being comfortable with who I am is someone with spina bifida. I think my parents drilled that into me. Like, hey, like you've got a different superpower, and I do. It's so cool. I've affected more people being disabled than I ever would have being able-bodied. So I'm very fortunate to have that ability to do that because I wouldn't have had that opportunity as an able-bodied person. Anyway, Matt, what were you gonna?
I think the question. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, are you comfortable kind of sharing that? Like Ryan said, he doesn't know if he can handle his recovery.
Yeah. It was tough. I also had supportive people.
Yeah,
Um, I think at some point, like, I think past like the immediacy, like a couple months afterwards, um, I started getting back into regular life. Not totally. I was still kind of angry at the world, but like I started getting back into regular life. Um, and I I just anytime someone like would say something like that to me, I'd be like, what the fuck else am I supposed to do?
Mm.
Like I could lay inside and be sad, and I do that sometimes, but
Keep
I-
rolling forward.
yeah, what
Love that.
what else am I gonna do? Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like this like I don't know, this pot. I'm gonna get through this. I know I am. Like I never felt that way. I was like, I don't know what else I have no choice other than
Dealing with it.
dealing with it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit inside. I know that. So, and like I said, I still do that quite a bit. So I do enjoy that, but it's
Yeah.
not out of like sadness or depression. I just like doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still think that shows just how resilient you are. I think that's pretty incredible.
And thank you. And I will acknowledge that I have met other people with disabilities where they actually it's like it kind of I didn't believe it at first, but other people with disabilities will like they will do that. They'll just sit inside and be sad about it. And shit, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get it. Like fuck, it sucks.
Yeah.
I remember being as 18-year-old boy, like I was angry
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
I think it took until the basketball team and I saw a therapist were the two like biggest things that helped out.
Yeah.
And of course, mom and dad were crazy supportive.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I remember a couple months into recovery, like I was back at mom and dad's house. I was laying in bed and I was stewing and I was angry at everything. I just like let out the biggest like like I just started crying. And it was a shout cry. I was like, ah, like just pain. And my 6'5" giant dad ran in and just hugged me.
Oh.
And I was like, all right, thanks, man. Being in the mud.
Yeah.
He's just being in the mud next to me.
Wow.
Like I can't fix it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was gonna get teary eyed on the podcast.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I've
Uh-huh.
not heard that specific story. So wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, you're
So
it must be embarrassing to be crying.
yeah.
That-
Stu-
I'm so sorry for you.
super embarrassing. Like who does that? Wow. Yep. So yeah, Ryan, feel free to chime in a little bit. But so it sounds like your biggest advice to somebody going through this right now would be get into wheelchair sports and then see a therapist.
Yes, both. Sorry.
No, I think, therapy has the stigmas finally, thankfully, going away a little bit. But I, like Matt, have been through extensive amounts of therapy to get personal help. And I
Yeah.
can't stress how invaluable it is to kind of have somebody's outside perspective to tell you, maybe those angry voices in your head aren't always the ones you need to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? One thing that you going through therapy has taught me.
Glad it's been
No, but I remember one time we were talking about something and I said, nobody talks about this. And I am talking about it. And Matt got so mad at me because he's like, nobody, because you're talking about it right now. And so it's like, again, Jordan Petersonism is be precise in your speech and go ahead.
And also like you had heard you were repeating and I can't fact check this, but I just 99% sure you were repeating something from a YouTube video that had like 1 million views or something.
Yeah, probably.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, nobody, whatever.
Yeah. It,
That came from the first therapist I saw that helped me through the disability stuff. Um, I went through cognitive behavioral therapy, and a lot of that was like it's sort of a more logical version of therapy, and it's attacking like distortions of your views on the world. So you could say everybody versus it's a more of one of them was like going out against absolute thoughts. So like everybody says
yeah.
is an absolute thought. And a way to tame that down into something more realistic is like a lot of people think that, or some people think that,
Mm.
some people don't. And just making that distinction
Mhm.
was super helpful for me at the time, and then that came out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing your story about your disability and all that. So, um, let's let's get into this. So, Ryan, as an able-bodied guy, how do you experience being close with disabled friends or
Um,
people?
I would say it's been a lot of learning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have your biases that, you're instilled on you and through society, media, everything like that. Um, I think one of my favorite things is like when I moved in, I kept getting the impression that like our neighbor thought I was like your caretaker.
Yeah.
And like it made like, I was like, I think you said that to me at one point. And I was like, what?
Wait,
I was
which
like, does he
neighbor?
know you?
Yeah, if you go out the
You
front
don't have
door,
to
left
say.
or
Never
right,
mind.
Wait, what?
the neighbor, left or right neighbor, if you're
Left.
going out the front door.
Left.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, because he made a comment to me once, and I was like, he was like, oh, like I think he was like taking out the trash for Zach, and I was like, he he's lived by
I
himself
guess.
before, like he could take,
Yeah.
he can wield it. Like I don't need, he's perfectly capable.
Yeah, I've had since being in this house, I've had 3 roommates, so, yeah, I wonder, that's interesting. Did you ever think before you moved in with me, because we had only met each other once.
Hmm.
Did you ever think moving in with me that you that I wasn't as independent as I was or anything like that?
I think like with the like knowing that you live by yourself, I had some preconceptions that like, uh, you were perfectly capable of taking care of yourself and all that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think like it was still impressive to me
Mm.
seeing how you did that.
Mm.
Like the first time I saw you like put your wheelchair in your car, I was like, damn. I was like, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
same with you. I was like, oh man. I was like, I mean, you have to figure it out. Like
Yeah.
there's no way if ands or buts about it. You gotta do it. So but I was still like just the little things like that. And,
Yeah.
the first time I saw you grill and you're maneuvering around with a plate of steaks on your lap and you're
Yeah.
like, you're going out the door. And I'm like, I was like, damn, that's talent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was more impressive than like um negative thoughts
Sure.
originally.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I really wanna enforce or, like, get on my kids. Wow. That I really wanna instill in my kids, is that, like, there are effective ways of doing things and ineffective ways of doing things. For example, one of the unknown things that able-bodied people don't have to experience is making sure that their tires are pumped up. The tires just naturally deflate over time, and if you don't pump them up every so often, they'll start to get flat, and that affects your performance on the court. You move slower, you can't turn as fast, your tires wear down faster, all that. And actually, just the other day, just last practice, there were 2 kids that showed up with like deflated wheels. I said, "Hey, like." I need you to make sure that before practice, this is your responsibility to be ready to go so that we don't have to take the time to pump up your tires and we can play tennis. And so those are some of the cool responsibilities that I kind of try to instill in the kids and all that. So, um, okay, next thing, I have somebody explain this to me about some sort of cognitive something or other. Like I want to say cognitive dissonance, but there's another term for it. So there is what I perceive with all able-bodied people to be an elephant in the room when it comes to my disability. Um, and what I try to do, Matt, whoa, he's not an elephant, Matt. Stop looking at Ryan like that. Jeez. Um, but yeah, I think there's an elephant in the room, and one thing that I've worked really hard to do over my life is deflate that elephant as fast as humanly possible. And one of the best ways that I do that is with jokes. But I'm curious. It was interesting. I had Jake on the podcast. He's a double amp, and he and I kind of disagreed with this a little bit, and it was a great conversation. I love that two people with disabilities can get together and like kind of hash out what their opinions are on this. But first of all, Matt, do you think that there's an elephant in the room with new to you able-bodied people?
There for sure is.
Okay.
I don't know why I have not put any more thought into it.
No,
other
that's
than
okay.
that.
You know, I think that
And
that's
people have used the phrase elephant in the room before. So for
really
sure. Yeah.
interesting. I don't think anybody's used that with me. At least,
Mhm.
and maybe I
But
got that from
there's,
somebody. But
yeah, there's like a swelling. There's like, I want to bring it up, but like, I don't know.
yeah,
So, I mean, I think when people just politely, in whatever manner for you is polite, generally kind of works. I'm never surprised to hear that it's like you want to bring it up.
yeah,
And I think that's different from person to person. So like what works for me might not necessarily work for you. So
right,
like you don't know.
yeah,
So I think just polite and measured is like it's a no fail way to bring it up.
yeah. So polite. You're polite to that person.
The person politely brings it up.
Oh,
If
okay,
I don't bring it up, which I don't think I ever have.
okay, interesting. So do so I try to deflate the elephant as soon as possible. It sounds like you just leave it in the room
As yeah,
until they
it's
want to
probably
deflate it.
there, and I'm just like, well, it's not an elephant for me, so go
Interesting.
ahead and bring it up.
Yeah.
Do you think more people feel like there is an elephant than don't? Like, like rough estimate do you think like people coming into like first time meeting you think that it's like a maybe slightly uncomfortable for them or new for them and a little awkward?
I think there's an elephant in the room with everybody that I meet.
Okay.
But I said I think I have the cognitive dissonance or whatever
Okay.
the terminology is. And that's one of the reasons why I want to explore this on every
Mhm.
podcast is to see if I'm accurate in saying that. Jake basically said that there wasn't an elephant in the room, and if there was, it's not my problem. Kind of similar to Matt, but also like he didn't like he was just like uh, okay. And he did not experience an elephant. He does not experience an elephant in the room like I do. Um, and I think one of the realizations, just real quick, is one of the realizations is I think that's one of the things that I've just thought in my head, like nobody's talking about this kind of thing that I've just constantly thought about. And as I'm having conversations with people, it's like, oh, is that even right? Because I haven't asked anybody that I've talked to if there was an elephant in the room. So let me ask wheelchair people, disabled people, and able-bodied people what their thoughts are on that. What were you gonna say?
I don't.
Okay. Well, regardless, what was there an elephant in the room when you either found out I was in a wheelchair, or even when you first met me or Matt or
Yeah, I mean, when I first met you, you pull up driving a car,
yeah.
and I was like, oh,
Oh
like that.
yeah.
That was my first initial just.
I came to
Oh,
pick you up. That's
yeah.
right.
You picked me up, and I was like, oh man, I did. I mean, obviously he has to drive in some capacity, but I
Yeah.
like never really gave much thought to it. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, just get in your car, we go.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but when I first, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Um, I think our friend Allison, who was in our first original guild in Summoners War, made like some comment about you being in a wheelchair, and I was like, oh, ha ha. And then you were like, no, I, I am in a wheelchair. I was like, oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so I picked you. Wait. Hold on. Let's back up for a second.
Mhm.
You didn't know I was. Oh, when we were talking before we met.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. It's kind of funny because I worked with people. Like I was downtown, and I worked with people who were in the building that I'm in now, and I worked with them for a couple years, and like I had some of them I had just like touch bases with and stuff like that, and we talked and all that, and like there was one person that I was like fairly close to, like a good work friend, let's say. And he met me for the first time, and I just saw him look down and then look back up, like try not to be awkward about it, but he just like,
Like, oh.
like you could just see the surprise, like I could just see the surprise on his face, but he was trying to hide it. Like, oh my gosh, Zach's in a wheelchair, like that's crazy. Um, and I actually asked a couple people that I was working and that I'm working with now. I was like, "Did you know I was in a wheelchair?" They're like, "No, I had no idea." So, yeah. Anyway, so with us being roommates,
Mhm.
um, was there an awkwardness or an elephant in the room at all from us being roommates?
I don't think so. I think we'd
Yeah.
already crossed that bridge.
Yeah.
And we were close enough by that time that, nothing really phased me.
Yeah.
I will say the first time I met Matt, and then Matt was like, Matt's a hugger. He likes to hug.
Yeah.
And Matt's like, give me a hug, friend. And I was like, ah, crap. How do I do this?
Yeah.
That was like the elephant in the room, so
Ah.
to speak, with us. I was like, ah. And now I'm like jumping on his lap, like, let's go, Red.
That's awesome. So why? So I love your wheelchair jokes.
Mhm.
I love your disability jokes. I call them cripple jokes, and I guess I'll keep calling them cripple jokes. But I love your cripple jokes. Why did you feel comfortable, or like what point maybe even did you feel comfortable making cripple jokes in front of us?
Uh, it was a little different for Matt. I had to get to know him a little bit better before I felt comfortable doing any of that. But with
Sure.
you, like one of our first conversations was, hey, like enough people really like think differently of me.
Yeah.
So like I don't want my friends to think differently of me. I don't want anyone to treat me any different. Like
Yeah.
don't not roast me like you
Yeah.
roast everybody else.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it goes. I actually had an interesting conversation. I was talking to my mom about you doing stand up tomorrow,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Oh, Zach's doing stand up," but she was like, "I'm going to hell. I should never have said that."
Single person.
Matt gets annoyed by it, but I guess if you're
Oh,
in
we
the
talked
stand
about
up
that
world,
before. Okay, yeah. The story. So I was brief. Thank you. I was briefly. I took a stand-up comedy course, and a few years ago, and every person I talked to about it had the same instant thought that you're having right now, because everybody has that.
yeah.
It's like, oh, you should start your act with stand up.
Which I think you would have been a Dane Cook if you had led with that, but
Yeah.
here we are. You're an IT. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Dane Cook, not one of my favorite comedians. He's got some fun stuff, but he's not at the top of my list. So.
Yeah, that's true. I could have definitely named another comedian that was better, but I did not. So, Um, okay, so oh man, I had another question for you, Ryan.
Just to expand on that a little bit though, like I think there's sort of like just a broiness, like that's just independent of disability.
Oh yeah,
There's
okay,
just like a broy,
Because for
like you
me,
gotta get to know someone before you start roasting them. The end.
absolutely. And
yeah,
for me, it's like I never want anybody to feel left out. Like
right,
personally, I've felt left out in a lot of aspects of my life, all the time. Um, and when my immediate you're like, hey, I don't want to feel left out.
yeah,
Like, why would you not roast me?
yeah,
Like I roast people a lot,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Like, I'm one of your friends too, so like treat me the same.
yeah,
And I was like,
Mhm.
huh.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I completely respect that. Like, and that
mhm,
really changed my perspective on it. It's like, I'm not different from you. I
yeah,
am different, but I'm not different. Like,
yeah. Y-
I like this,
You're
this
kind of
same,
weird
yeah.
than me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. um, yeah, that's so true. My mom tells me this story. I don't remember it necessarily, but my friends were like super vulgar, let's say, when it comes to my wheelchair. Like one of my friends would be like, "Shut up, cripple," in front of like people, and we loved like how everybody responded. We thought it was hysterical, and my mom tells me the story of this mom calling her and saying, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I was picking my kid up and I saw your son in a wheelchair and he got dumped out of his wheelchair by somebody, and it was just so inappropriate." And my mom had the best response. I'm gonna paraphrase pretty massively, but it was something like, um, "Good, like he's getting treated like everybody else." And what happened, I think, was I was for some reason wheeling at the edge of my chair, and I was wheeling pretty fast, and it might not even been at the edge of my chair, but I was wheeling pretty fast, and one of my friends ran up to me, caught me, grabbed the back bar, and just stopped. And so I just flew out of my chair.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think at like an early age, like that was instilled in me, like, hey, like that's and the other thing is like w- one, I could take we could take two options. We could take the option of just like being like, oh, you're such a horrible person for making that wheelchair joke, or we can find humor and laugh in the situation. And I'm sorry, but like finding humor and laughing in the situation is so much better than just being miserable and thinking someone's a piece of crap for it. Now, granted, like you're not doing it because you're just saying it. I want you to say it. So like there is a little bit of a difference,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like if someone ever called me a cripple, I'd probably laugh at them. Like especially a stranger, if they were mad at me and they'd be like, "You're such a cripple," I'd be like, "Okay, like
I'm
you're right."
even thinking if like I were around you, I'd be like, yeah, yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like
it's
what?
not going to
Like
change the fact that you're in a wheelchair. Like, okay,
right,
cool.
Mm.
right,
Thanks, buddy.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, so Ryan, well, we kind of covered that. What's something the outside world gets wrong about disabled people?
Ooh,
Either one of you can answer that.
got something?
I've just had so I mean, I've had random people come up and, say a few ignorant things, but I feel like it's been mostly pretty respectful in my experience or just indifferent. So I don't think it's kind of like to hear from an able-bodied person.
Repeat the question again. Sorry.
What's something the outside world gets wrong about disabled people?
I think for me, it's when people see people in a wheelchair, they assume that there's a difference between like maybe being in a wheelchair versus, being severely on the spectrum to where
Yeah,
you're incapable of taking care of yourself. And I think
yeah,
that a lot of the outside world kind of mixes them together
Yep.
into the same category. And I think that's what I've noticed the most is like there's a lot of like the same thoughts of like somebody who can't take care of themselves whatsoever,
Yeah.
who, you know, needs an assisted living, who needs that kind of care. I think that like, you know, there's a big difference between mental versus, you know, physical disabilities. And I think that's the big
Yeah.
thing that I've noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. There are people that I've come across in life that think I'm cognitively disabled.
Mhm.
And it's like,
I mean, I do sometimes, but
oh yeah, dude, I missed an opportunity. We were talking about Matt's disability and then he made us cry, but like I was gonna ask you like what's your disability, Ryan? And like it's so funny, like somebody will ask me what my disability is. I'll be like, nothing, what's your disability? And they're able-bodied people and they're like,
I don't know.
yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah, I've for sure gotten like what's wrong with you or something
yeah,
like that.
nothing,
It's
what's
like,
wrong with you?
right? My general response is a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh,
What specifically are you asking about? Have high cholesterol, like
Yeah. High cholesterol, yeah.
pressure.
Yeah, dude, we should start responding like that. Just be like, I'm fat. Why are you judging me for that?
I'm not down with this body putting out right now.
Wait, repeat that.
I'm not down with this body shaming. You know.
You should totally do that. Someone's like, what's wrong with you? Are you body shaming me right now for being fat? Oh my gosh, that's great. Okay, so um oh shoot. Let's talk about the opening doors real quick cuz this is one of my favorite things to get into. And Ryan, I'd love your perspective on me opening doors for other people and you just observing as well, but like I think it's hysterical uh opening doors for people and then people opening doors for me. Like it's one thing if someone's like coming, if I'm right behind somebody and they hold the door open for me, but it's another thing when somebody runs from like 30 meters away and says, I got you, hold on. And then like that makes me want to like race ahead and like open the door and be like, no, I got you. And then just let the chaos ensue of like they're just like um, but I want to know, Matt, like one, do you have any funny stories? I think we talked about that earlier a little bit, but do you have any funny stories or around opening doors, either for people or people opening doors for you?
Not that I can remember right now.
Okay.
There's for sure.
So
I for sure had people like run from an inappropriate distance.
yeah,
Just be like, I got it. I got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But I'm so like anti-confrontation. I'm like, oh, okay. Thanks. Well, you got it. Thank
yeah,
you for helping me.
yeah. And so I always think that there's two frames of mind with opening doors with somebody doing that is one. And this kind of goes to the other question: what's the outside world get wrong about disabled people? Is one, they think every disabled person's the same. Every person in a wheelchair is the same. They can't open the door, and so therefore they need help. And that's kind of patronizing, right? It's like you think that I'm less than, which in some ways, yes, I am. I can't move my feet. I can't walk very well. But when it comes to opening doors, I can absolutely do that like easily, just as easily as everybody else. But then there's the other thought process of they're doing something nice. They're doing a good deed, right? So I guess one, how do you guys look at that? Do you guys look at it both ways, or do you think like, oh, they're just looking out for him kind of thing? Ryan, you go first since you haven't talked to him a little bit.
I think the more I've been with you, the more I view it as patronizing.
Interesting.
Like,
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, like, one of my favorite things is, like, going out with you and, like, you opening the door for me and me walking in and, like, somebody behind me, like, "Why didn't you open the door for him?" And I'm just like, "'Cause he can
That's
freaking
funny.
open the door himself." Like,
Yeah.
he's not incapable.
Yeah.
I also love going, like, to a crowded place with you because, like,
Yeah.
Zach is, like, my lead blocker, and I am scoring every single touchdown because every person just parts like the Red Sea as soon as they see it coming. And it's like, "Hey, we're gonna go get a drink at the bar." Holy cow, how are we gonna get through that line? And Zach's just like, "Watch this." And
Wheelchair
we're right up
privilege.
to the front, and he's like, "Can I get 2 beers?" And we're like, "Yep, let's go."
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Oh."
It is funny. Matt, what's your perspective on that?
I mean, I think it's person to person. Um, you just kind of get a vibe from everybody. I would say it's a pretty significant amount of people, though, have been like, it's just like, oh, you're just like a gentleman. You open the door for everybody. And
Yes.
I was just here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also like, I've for sure had like the, oh my God, sorry, I'm going to open the door. But I've also for sure had like a lot of people it's just like, oh, you just open doors. Like you're
Yeah.
just like, that's how you're raised. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a good mix
Yeah.
I
between.
mean, personally, like, I've had instances where I've, like, held open the door for a woman, and she's like, "Do you think I'm incapable?" And I'm like,
No.
and my response is, "No, I open the door for everyone." One,
Mhm.
I like being the last person through the door, so
Yeah.
that's just a personal preference of mine. So
Interesting.
I don't
Okay.
know why,
Wait,
but
what? Is that a thing?
yep. Like,
Why?
when I'm walking, I like to be the last person. I don't know. I like
Uh,
seeing everything in front of me. I don't like
oh,
things
I
in
get that.
behind me.
I like being the last person as well,
Yeah.
not necessarily through doors, but I
Yeah,
kind of
but
like being behind
I got
everybody.
literally yelled at for it, and I
Yeah.
was like, it wouldn't have mattered if
Did she
you.
yell at you?
Yeah,
Oh, wow, cool.
Wow.
yeah. It was. I was working my last job when I was in Nevada, and, like, I was like, if you were, if you identified as whatever you wanted to be, like, I still
Mhm.
would have held the door for you. I didn't hold it because you were a woman, and I didn't think you were capable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
would do that for anybody.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting. There have been times where someone hasn't opened the door for me,
Mhm.
and I think, what kind of person is that? Right? And it's like, whoa, Zach, like this is like kind of what you're going for almost like I can do it myself, but at the same time, like there's a common courtesy. There's a line there, like of a common courtesy versus like you're doing it just because I'm disabled and all that. So I don't know. It's an interesting conundrum. I love talking about this with people just because it's like I think it's the biggest example of like interactions wheelchair people with wheelchair who use wheelchairs have with
Mhm.
able-bodied people. So um okay. So we're at the 2 hour mark. Can we go just like 10 more minutes or something like that? You guys good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, Matt, what is one experience you had with a stranger that's ridiculous regarding your disability?
Um, I mean, there's been a few. It's surprisingly rare though,
It
but
is, yeah.
um, so I sometimes like just like on the street, I would have like people that like wanted to pray for me,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
like
yeah.
and like I was just so naive. Like I think it just blanked from my memory every time because every new time the next person would be like, like, can I pray for you? And I'm like I don't, I can't dictate what you do with your own time. Go for it. Like I have no issue. By the way, I'm not like religious. Like I don't have any. I'm not against anyone being religious, but like I'm not. And when someone approaches me, like, "Can I pray for you?" I'm like, "Yeah, like, do your thing, go for it." And then just like 9 times out of 10, it's just like kneeling down, holding of hands, and it's like, "Lord Jesus, please make it." I'm like, "Oh, this is so uncomfortable right now." Like, I didn't know why. Why
I
do I keep saying yes to this?
I think you told me once that someone was like, "Hey, can I pray
I
for you?"
left.
Oh, no, but I think you told me once that someone was like, can I pray for you?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And you kept rolling, and they like kind of like they got you and
Yep.
like laid
Yes,
hands on
that's
you,
the
and you're like,
version.
wait, no, I said you can
What?
pray for me, but not with me."
That's not what I meant.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I left.
That's funny. Yeah, I went to a Pentecostal church one time and they called me up in front of everybody and laid hands on me, and like there were people speaking in tongues and all that, and I was like, "Whoa, this is intense."
You know what else is intense?
Camping.
Ah.
But no, it's not camping.
Wrong. It's
What is it?
Circus tires.
Love it. You know, I haven't
That's
I
Jake. Shout out to Jake Counts for that
really?
one. That's who I always heard it from. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was my thing. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so you got hit by a car.
What?
You got hit by a
I
car.
did get hit by a car. What?
Can you share that story? Because I feel like that's kind of ridiculous.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It was so. I mean, it wasn't like okay. Yeah. So I was coming back. I think from our college bar.
Yeah.
I don't know what to share about this other than I got hit by a car. And it was really awkward.
Well, so you fell out of your chair.
So
You were in your wheelchair and you were going across the
hold on,
crosswalk.
yeah, I was gonna say, can I look at the situation? Okay. So there was woman in a car right here, and then like exiting the apartment complex here, and there's a sidewalk just, going along the street here. So I'm going here and I see this car. I'm like, great, okay. I keep going and just like skirt, and boom, she hits my chair. I fall out of the chair. I lay there for a minute because I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how did you not see that I was right in front of you? um, she gets out. She's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." She helps me. Like, I don't even think she helped. I think some dudes came by, some college bros came by. Were like, "Well, I'll be back up in the chair." I got back up in. Um, by the end of it, like I was hugging her, like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. I'm the one that just got hit by a car, but it's rough for you too. I'm so sorry." I just went on my day like a skinned elbow or something. Like it was no big deal, but yeah.
Yeah. Have you had any interactions with us that you've seen?
Honestly, the FC Cincinnati game was probably the like most awkward encounter I've ever been in with you.
Yeah.
A little bit on that is I am a season ticket holder and I sit in the standing only section. Haha. Made the mistake of inviting my friend in a wheelchair to the standing section, and
He's never invited me back, by the way.
so they have a section where it's accessible section, and we were unaware of the fact that you needed to get those tickets beforehand.
Yeah.
My rep, and I talked to my rep later on, who's like, if you ever do that again, just go up to the courtesy office. We'll get you your tickets exchanged and make sure you're all taken care of. But
Which isn't clear at all
it's
anywhere.
not stated anywhere, so it was a little awkward. We show up, Zach, wheels right in, and it's like, all right, come with us, and we're like,
But by
okay.
the way, for context, it's Ryan, and we're meeting two of Ryan's friends as well. So And there's I don't know, probably enough room to fit like 15, 20 wheelchairs in that space. And there was
Probably,
maybe
yeah.
one other group that was
Two
disabled.
people, I think,
Yeah.
were in the section, and were standing, behind him with him. And
No, you were sitting next to me at that time.
oh, were there? Oh yeah, there were
There,
some
there were,
seats, and
yeah,
the
yeah,
guy comes up and he's like, "You have to get out," and we're like, "Whoa!" Like,
yeah. You guys get out.
and we're like, "Oh, okay, all right, we're gonna get out. Like, we're sorry." And Zach's just like, "No, they are not leaving me. They're my friends. They are staying with me. You're not expecting me to sit and watch a game that I don't even care about. I just want to spend time with my friends."
Yeah.
And eventually, the guy is like, "All right."
Wait, hold on. But before you get in that, Ryan was like, Zach, we can go. I was like, no, you're absolutely not going because I'm not gonna sit here and watch the soccer game by myself and drink beer. Like, there's zero purpose for me to be here if I'm not with you guys. And this guy was like, no, they've got to go. You can stay, but they've got to go. It's like that's not happening. And I looked at him straight in the eyes. I'm like, that's just not happening. And I was like, why would I come to a soccer game and watch it in the stadiums by myself? That's just not that's not something somebody does. Well, I don't know. A diehard fan might, but like not me. I don't really care about soccer. I wanted to do it for the experience and the hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. So um he was very adamant about them leaving, and they were all like, all your friends and you were all like, no, it's cool, like we can go. I was like, no, guys, stay here.
It's like, if you move, I am leaving.
Yeah.
I am gonna kill all
Yeah.
of you if you move. And we're like, okay, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I was more threatened. They were more threatened by me than they were by this guy, and I finally I was like,
Not confrontational calculation was going on. I'm like, oh wait, I don't want to piss Zach off more, and then I don't.
and I finally was like, let me talk to your supervisor. And he like danced around that for a second. He goes, no, they gotta go. I'm like, no, I need to talk to your supervisor right now. And so he goes away, and we see him with somebody else, probably a supervisor, pointing over at us and stuff like that. And he comes back over and he goes, hey man, your friends can stay, but they have to stand back. They have to stand up, and they have to stand up against the wall.
And if anybody else, and obviously we were like, hey, if anybody else needs a space, like,
Yeah.
obviously we'll move. Like,
Right.
if somebody needs this, like,
Right.
we're happy to move.
Right. But there's literally two other people in
Yeah.
this area of like that could fit so many other people in wheelchairs. So yeah, and one thing. So I was like, okay, cool. That's fine. We'll settle on that. But one of the things that I experienced with that was, it's a loud stadium, and I could barely hear you guys being a lot higher than me. So in standing up, so like I could certainly, it would have made my experience better if you guys were sitting down with me and talking. Now, if that were to happen again, I would push for that and be like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, like,
And we know moving forward. And what I
And we know
appreciated
what to
about
do, yeah.
the guy who was so adamant about us not being able to sit there was like, hey, he came back and he was vulnerable with you. You
Yeah.
know, my wife has a medical condition. I'm very particular and protective of this because I want the people who need this space
Yeah.
to be able to enjoy it. So I do apologize. He was very apologetic. And,
Yeah.
very accommodating for
Right.
us
Yeah.
to be in an accommodating space. So,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he apologized and made everything right. And FC Cincinnati, I will say it was a rough start, but
Yeah.
they turned it right back around and got a little support from the end. So it was really nice to at least get that resolved in some capacity.
Yeah. It was. It was so funny because like you and your friends were so uncomfortable as this was happening, and I'm just like, nope. This is on principle. I don't care who I make uncomfortable. I'm gonna make everybody uncomfortable in this situation. And I didn't mean to make you guys uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong.
I saw
But
where you're coming from.
yeah, right. And I don't think you've ever seen me in a state like that ever before.
Nope, not a chance.
Like
it was a different side of you, and
before and after.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you've never seen me like that.
Mm-mm.
And you were just like, "Oh my gosh." So, yeah, it was a good
I'm
experience.
uncomfortable right now listening to this story.
I just looked over at you and you were like, you looked uncomfortable. Matt, how would you have handled that situation?
I would like to think that I would. It's just the outcome would be similar. Just like the rage would bubble up.
Dude,
and
this guy,
just-
go ahead. Sorry.
and towards the end of it, I mean, like he came up. Like I kind of hoped the guy had a different understanding at the end, where like
Yeah.
my wife's disabled. Instead of protecting these spots,
Yeah.
like if my wife were there with
The
her
empty
friends,
spots.
the empty spots. If my wife were there with her friends, she would want her friends to be there. I
Yeah.
sort of hope that like turned a different perspective for him, no
Yeah.
matter how uncomfortable it was.
Yeah. So he came out of the gates swinging, and so
Sure,
I matched his energy.
yeah, fair enough,
And
absolutely.
You're right. I think maybe in a different
I think
situation,
that's fair.
I could have
Like,
handled that a little bit less aggressively. But when he was so aggressive with us, because he came over, he goes, "You guys, get out!" Like, and I was like, "Bro,
excuse me.
like you're not doing that with me. Like, I'm gonna throw down as well." Um, yeah. Anyway, okay, so, um, Ryan.
Zach.
To you, oh, I guess we already answered that. Do you have any other funny things that you've seen around us that was just like funny, surprising, interesting? Like the parting the Red Sea we talked about. Talked about.
Parting the Red Sea.
Well,
Moving crowds.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
parting the Red Sea. Is there anything else that you can think of that like?
No, I think we've kind of like touched on primarily everything.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna end with something kind of lighthearted.
Mhm.
This is called "Who's Most Likely to." Between the three of us,
Mhm.
who's most likely to do what I'm about to these different topics? Who's most likely to get pulled into a conspiracy theory on YouTube?
Zach.
Yeah,
Yep.
me, me for sure. Make friends with a stranger at a bar.
Zach.
Well, hold
Oh
on.
wait. Maybe me. How much have I been drinking?
I was gonna say this earlier. You're one of the most extroverted people sometimes when we go out to a bar together. Like you,
I accidentally make friends.
yeah, you do. Well, I don't know about accidentally, but like
I'm not trying.
you just make friends. Okay, so cry during a movie.
Me.
Really?
Mhm.
Also maybe me. Also maybe you.
That's funny. I was gonna say me too.
Dude, I tear up at like commercials that are sentimental. Like it's just like, oh my god. I cry at damn near everything. I hate it,
Wait,
but I love
really?
it. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Cool.
a movie you're ashamed that you cried about? Cried to?
Dude, Disney movies get me. Like, I don't know. There's so many that I'm just like, why am I crying? This is the dumbest movie I've ever seen.
A chick flick called A Walk to Remember. Go
Step
ahead.
Brothers.
Step brother. When he see you at the end.
I was joking. I didn't know that was so real.
Yeah, it's not, but
Matt, what about you? What's a
I
movie?
cry at movies that you cry at. I don't know.
Garden State?
Yeah, you cry at that movie. That's a serious movie.
Requiem for a Dream? Is that
Yeah.
a cryable movie?
I don't remember that movie, but
I thought
it
that was
one
one of
my
your favorites.
for
Yeah.
a while ago.
I don't remember it either, but
Yeah.
okay.
I
Yeah.
haven't cried at Step Brothers.
I haven't.
Ryan hasn't either. No one's cried.
I think the two that I can remember are Walk to Remember and Pay It Forward. Those were tear jerkers. Have you seen either of those?
think at one point I've seen Pay It Forward. I don't think I've seen A Walk to Remember.
I made Matt watch it. It's a chick flick, and it's
Are you just jealous they're walking?
I remember.
I want to make sure this was I can't walk, but I still love Johnny Cash. Yeah, okay. Buy a random gadget they'll never use.
Zach.
Ryan.
I would say me too. Okay, become a meme.
Zach.
Become a meme. Yeah, Zach.
I think your extrovertedness puts you up there.
Lock themselves out of the car. Say it. Say it in the
I think
mic so
I'm gonna
people
go
can hear.
You wouldn't. I feel like I might. I feel like I'm in contention for that.
I could see that.
I
You're always really prepared for everything.
I'm glad you think that.
I would say me as well. Send a text meant for someone else to the wrong person.
I've done that. I just did that actually. So my girlfriend and my mom are on a text thread, and thank goodness it was as tame as it was, but I sent something that was just meant for Robin, to both my mom and Robin. I think it was as mild. It was just like, you're pretty, so I'll do what you want, even though I kind of don't want to do, like, I don't want to go to brunch or something. But you're pretty, so I will. And I could have just been so much worse.
Yeah, right. Completely ignore their phone for an entire day.
Ooh,
It's between Ryan and
I think
Matt.
it's probably.
I think
You
it's
think it's
Ryan.
Ryan more than Matt?
Yeah.
More than you? Wow.
Yep.
I would say when it
You
comes to
respond to shit sometimes.
yeah, I think it's pretty close between us though.
It's close.
Yeah, if I didn't have work so heavily involved on my phone, I think it would probably be me.
Interesting. So Matt and I had a communication, and Matt responds to me more, but like I told Matt, I was
That's why I think it's Ryan.
like, yeah.
Most of the time, I try, like, if I'm not feeling up to responding, I try to have a conversation with you when you get home
Yeah.
to, like, tell you in person.
Yeah.
So
okay.
while I may not respond in text, I
Yeah.
try to at least communicate to you in
Yeah.
some capacity.
Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, so Matt, I told Matt, I was like, Matt, I worry about you sometimes when you don't respond. And he's like, well, dude, I don't want you to worry. I'll just give you a thumbs up. And so sometimes, like, when I don't hear from him for a couple days, I'll be like, hey, Matt, friend check in, give me a thumbs up. And I'll just react with a thumbs up. And I'll be like, okay, cool.
Live, brah.
Yeah. You alive, bruh? Yeah, okay. Completely ignore their phone for an entire no, I just read that. Sorry. Start a fire while trying to grill something.
Zach.
Why-
100%.
I feel like I'm getting singled out for a lot of these. ChatGPT made most
You're
of
the
these.
one that wrote the question.
ChatGPT made these. I didn't write any of them. Get arrested. Who's the most likely to get arrested?
I'm going to go Ryan on this one.
Oh.
Because I think just you're going to do something wild out of left field. You're going to get white hot anger, and you're just going to go off on someone and you're going to get arrested for it.
No.
Zach is very experienced with it, because I feel like the default answer is maybe Zach. But
I think
he's
Zach would probably just play the sympathy card. Like, I'm in a wheelchair. Are you really going to arrest me? And they'd be like, oh, God damn it.
get out of it.
Yeah.
And also, like, he knows where the line is. He's definitely pushed the line, so he kind of knows where it is.
Ryan, who would you say?
I'm going back to HBO streaming and Matt and getting letters from his internet provider. So I think I'm gonna go with Matt.
Oh,
That's true. I
okay.
got a severe slap on the wrist.
I was gonna say me, but now
Don't
that
pirate things, boys and girls.
It's illegal. Don't do it.
HBO. Anything else is fine.
Who's the most likely to marry someone after 3 months of dating?
Ugh.
Ooh, I think that would probably
Zach.
be me or Zach.
Oh, I was gonna say me.
I don't think you'd go.
You've never been dating.
It will. What's today's date? The 30th. So it's been 15 months.
Okay.
And you're like right up on that, dude. So I mean,
Oh, I've been
you're
ready
in
for a while.
contention.
So
Yeah. Okay. Matt, you're pondering.
I think I would say
Switching my answer to Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'd say me.
Okay.
I feel like you're more likely to break up with somebody after 3 months than I am.
Damn.
Yeah, that's fair. But so you don't like talking about relationships much, and I'm not gonna pry into that. But
Ask what you want.
well, I'll say that, and the reason I don't know that I could say you definitively is because I don't know how you're feeling, and you don't necessarily talk about that journey of how you're feeling over time.
Fair.
So that's why I would say either you or me in that. Okay. Most likely to betray the group in a zombie apocalypse, but claim it was for the greater good.
Oh, me. You guys are in wheelchairs. What do you expect?
I can run faster than both of you.
And if they get you, I can just use your wheelchair.
This was a two-parter. Who's most likely to survive a zombie apocalypse? Ryan.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
we know kung fu.
Yeah, my dad's a prepper, so like, if there's a zombie apocalypse,
You could just
I
lock
would-
yourself in the basement.
I would drive there to my dad. I could, yeah, but I would drive to my parents' house, and I think I'd be set. So maybe I could survive a zombie apocalypse. I don't know.
I mean, so my family my mom was really big into like prepping. Like she has, and now they live on quite a few acres, and they're in the process of getting
Do they
goats
have,
and
like, a
cows
cellar
and
stuff.
what's that?
They have like a cellar.
Not yet. They will.
They're working on a
Yeah.
cellar.
My mom was all gung ho about that for a long time. More so like growing her own food. She's also a pharmacist, so like she knows how to compound medicines. Like her first thing she said she would do is just go to a pharmacy and get like all the medicine there. So that's the best thing to do, like penicillin for infection, everything like that. So
Okay, next one. Who's the most likely to win in a backyard barbecue competition? I'm gonna say Ryan.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ryan too.
Damn, that
Because
hurts. No, I'm kidding.
because you have come up through Ryan's tutelage.
That's so true. Yeah. And Ryan makes some amazing food. So, okay.
thank you.
There are other things that we can get into, but we're already pretty over the time that I told you guys. So, any final words? Any final questions?
I mean, if there's anything else you want to go over, like, you good to keep going for a little bit?
Not too much longer.
Yeah, maybe 10, 15 more minutes.
10, 15 more minutes.
I'm good.
Okay. I do have other content that we can go over. Cool. Okay, so one thing that the next topic is adversity to conflict. So I, of
Whatever
course,
you say, Zach, I
Yeah,
agree.
I believe you.
I think you're right.
I
100%.
I of course am completely, well, not completely, but I'm more okay with conflict than you two are, which I think is interesting. So I want to dig into, where do you guys think that stems from I guess my end and both and your end.
We've met your dad.
Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
And like you have
And your
two
family,
brothers.
too.
Yeah.
Your brothers are not shy either.
That's true. Yeah. We're all very
And growing up with two brothers and a sister, I'd imagine there's quite a bit of competition and conflict. So
yes. Yeah, there are. Yeah, I mean my older brother, it was funny cuz he's 5 years older than me and I would make him mad in some way. I deserved it, I'm sure. I was just an annoying little kid that was like 5 years younger than him. And we had this hallway with all of our bedrooms that was like just wide enough for my wheelchair, right? And so like he would like get up and start chasing after me and I would bolt down that hallway and then once he got close to me, I would just start crawling like super fast out of my wheelchair.
You
And
are the zombie.
yes.
the crawling
And
dead.
yeah, right. And I would basically use my wheelchair to block him, but of course he would get around the wheelchair and then so I'm pretty flexible because of my disability. I don't have like many butt muscles, and so I can like fold myself in half. But what I would do is when he
Do it.
no. What he would do is he would catch up to me, and I would lay on my back and put my feet out, and like put my feet like straight up like at him. And it was funny because one time I remember him like punching my feet, and I'm like, haha, I can't feel that. And then he just decided to pick my feet up and just lay on top of me with my feet like right by my head. So yeah, that was fun. Um, so adverse to conflict, where do you guys think? Why do you go ahead?
To complement or counteract that story,
Yeah,
my dad grew up with some friends who like weren't his friends. Like they were pretty shitty to him, but he lived in a small town, so like they were his friends.
yeah,
So I remember I remember I have half brothers and sisters who are way older than me. So like my half brother, he's my brother. My brother was dating someone with a kid who was about my age, and we like started wrestling because we're both teenagers. And my dad came in and chastised him, not me.
oh,
So I mean, I think like I felt worse after that interaction than he did, even though like he's like I'm sure like he just got over it. But I was like, oh my god, if I get in a fight with anybody, my dad's gonna go after them.
oh, interesting.
So
Interesting.
I mean, there was that. I was also just very sensitive as a kid to
Yeah,
any sort of feedback. You hate me if you say anything really mean. So maybe that's just a thing.
yeah, Ryan.
I think so. A little background on me. I grew up with my single mother. So I think in that respect, growing up, we read, I forget the series, but basically it was like be seen and not heard is like the children. And, when your mom's working her absolute butt off to provide and take care of and build a future for you, you know, there's a sense of like, I got to do what I'm told. I got to listen. My mom was also a terrifying person growing up.
How
Every
tall was your mom, by the way?
my
Super
mom
intimidating.
is 5'2". For context, I'm 5'10", and she's probably about 115 pounds of soaking wet, and I am definitely more than that. And she terrified the living crap out of me.
Don't mess with her.
Don't mess with my mom. She is a beast when she needs to be,
Yeah.
and she's kind of tamed that now, and she's a great person, and I love her. But growing up, she was terrifying, and like there was no disagreeing with that. There was you do what you are told, and more.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think also at a personal level, acceptance was huge for me. When one of your parents doesn't love you enough to be part of your life,
Yeah.
You're always kind of craving that affection, that acceptance. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of my personal decisions and how I think about life in general, even to this day, still stem from that kind of need for external validation. Like I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
my motivations are primarily external as opposed to internal.
Yeah. I think mine have evolved to be m- they were external at some point, but they've gotten more internal
Hmm.
over the years. It's interesting. I remember a time there's a math test. Matt, you'll be proud of me for this. Matt's a math major for those that don't know. But I had a math test and like there's a whole bunch of kids that like got really bad grades on it, and I got like an A+ on it. And I came home, I'm like, Dad, I got an A+ on my math test and I barely studied at all. And he goes, well, why should I be proud of that? Like,
Damn.
yeah. It was something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but like I was like, I told him like no, everybody else did really bad, and like most people did bad, and I did really well, and like I think he was really trying to drill in like the like hard work and all that instead of just being smart, you know. So I don't know. It was an interesting story.
Hmm.
Um, so anything else on like being adverse to conflict? So let's talk about. Go ahead.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like how uncomfortable I felt when we were in Nashville with our friends in December.
Yeah,
And you guys are going back and forth, like who, well, I don't remember what it was, but you guys were basically like, who is more outgoing?
yeah.
And the two of you are going back and forth. I'm more outgoing. No, I'm more outgoing.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, they're yelling at each other. They're mad at each other. Like, this is so awkward. Like,
Yeah.
I feel so uncomfortable right now. And I expressed that to you. And, you reached back out to our friend who you were having this discussion with. And you're like, did you think this was hostile in any capacity? And she was like, no, we talk like that all the time. And I'm just like, huh, interesting. And that was just a very interesting perspective for me
Yeah.
of like, for some people, that's normal life. And for
Yeah.
me, that's complete opposite of what I wanted to be around or do. And
Yeah.
so it was interesting to see that, you two both enjoyed it.
Yeah. We did. I loved it, and so did she. Like,
Yeah, I think Mike. I mean, I remember Mike one. Yes, Mike.
Mike.
I remember Mike one time said, like, not that he like he enjoyed like he would start shit because he thought conflict was fun or something. Like it was just fun to pick at people. I'm like, I don't understand that. I don't know what that's like. I mean, like, each his own. Like, one of my brothers is like that as well. But like, damn, like I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, to me, it's such a foreign concept to like conflict.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting. I like being challenged. And I like challenging other people. Um,
I wouldn't say you like conflict though. You're somewhere in the middle.
that's true. You're right. I don't
I think you'll
seek out conflict to
not-
have conflict.
You're not uncomfortable with conflict, but I don't think you like it either.
That's true. Good. Thank you for correcting me. I mean, the FC Cincinnati thing, it was not comfortable for me either. But I standed on principle, and that was more important to me than the comfort. So, yeah, that's a good call. So I know that I've rubbed you guys the wrong way, and when it.
I don't
Rubbed
think
me the
so.
right way, too. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, this is kid friendly.
Back massage.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you clarifying. No. But how like I mean I've gotten into it with both of you guys before, and it's been uncomfortable, and like there's also probably been times where I've maybe pushed too far and stuff like that, and um it's something that I think I'm working on as far as just trying to be like know my audience, I suppose. And so like, do you guys? I mean, feel free to share an example, but like, how do we hash that out? Would you say, or how does that impact you guys, or whatever you want to say around that with our interactions?
Uh, Back when we were in college, we worked at the retail store in sales.
Yeah,
And I don't know why we're not saying the retail store's name,
I
but
just
we're
don't want
not
to talk
saying
about it. Thank you.
it. But you were in sales, and the training sales program was exceptionally just like
It was
on
great.
your ass about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was great. It was
it
on your ass about it,
it taught me a lot of things about sales. But go
right?
ahead.
And I think that bled into your personal life.
Yes, it did.
And I just, there was some pushing past, like, I think there was sort of a two two sides to like you would push and then I wouldn't know how to say no.
Yeah,
So there was both of those things going on at the same time.
and it make you uncomfortable. You didn't know how to
Right.
respond, and
Right. And I mean, and I don't know. I still have trouble with this. Like, I still kind of don't know how to say no today.
yeah,
But I feel like I'm inching closer to like, well, if you're gonna be this brazen about not you in particular, but just anybody, like they're gonna be this brazen about like pushing for something, I am well within my rights to just be like, fuck you, no.
yeah, yeah.
And if that's hard for you to take, which I think another part of the anti-confrontation outside of childhood was one relationship where the most serious relationship I've had before this relationship where um, it was not fair in that regard.
Mm,
Um, pushing regardless, and any no is met with, "Oh my god, what? No, oh, no, that hurts. Why do I have to walk on? Why do I have to walk on eggshells around you? Oh, it's rough."
mm,
And that's not fair.
yeah,
So, um, I think with you, like I've more underestimated just like if you push and you get that brazen no, you're like, oh, okay.
yeah,
Like that's fair. Like that's a valid response to what I just asked.
yeah,
And my whole life, no has just been met with like more of that heart stabbing,
yeah.
like you said, no? What do you mean?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So I can't say it.
Uh. So,
Hmm.
but you're more comfortable saying it to me.
No, I'm not comfortable still,
Okay.
but I've just learned that it's okay
Yeah.
more so,
Yeah.
but it's still never comfortable.
Sure.
Every time one of our things is the yes, drill sergeant thing, it's almost never comfortable for me to say it
Oh,
still.
interesting. Okay. Um, so just for reference, sometimes I can be too direct and it comes across as rude, and I don't mean it to come across as rude, but it happens to be rude. And so I've been working on my freezing as far as how that goes, and one of the really good ways that Matt can give me immediate feedback is if I am that way, he can say yes, drill sergeant, and he comes back and then instantly I can analyze that and think of, okay, how could I have said that better, and then we go from there. So
And as
um
somebody on the outside, like it's when those instances do occur, it's not an instance where it's like uncomfortable for everybody that it's
yeah,
being said.
Right.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
appreciate that like you guys have found that common ground to where,
Yeah,
you know, you can have that statement, you can, get your point across without like it all being completely different.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. um Well, Ryan, in 1 second, I'll come to you, but Matt, when it comes to the conflict, is there something that you could say right now that I could immediately do that we haven't already talked about?
that you could do?
Yeah, to not push as much or be as, I don't know, adverse. Like how?
Um, no.
Okay.
And I and by that, I think I mean like I think any more that you would do would be you reading into stuff that I say and guessing.
Mm,
And I don't want to venture into that territory. I don't.
mm,
That's more frightening to me than
yeah.
you just saying whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Ryan, what about you?
Repeat the question just so I can.
Um, it was more. I didn't have it written down, but it was more something like, when we experience conflict. I don't know, Matt. Do you remember the exact question or like?
Oh, is there anything Zach could do?
No, before that.
Oh, what? Nope. We already did. Why are you averse?
So
Yeah.
the most recent conflict I think we had was, we had a Tuesday standing call,
Oh yeah.
and I completely forgot that I had month end closing for another job that I work. And it was 2 days before the end of the month. And in addition to my normal job, I had about 12 hours worth of work that I had to accomplish outside
Yeah.
of my work in 2 days' time. And I just expressed that, hey, I really need to push this like 2 days to just get through this.
Yeah.
And you came back, and while I don't think you were wrong in saying something,
Yeah.
I will say that like the manner in which it was said is what kind of shut me down.
Yeah. It was aggressive.
And that to me was like
Is this a Taco Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And to me it was like I don't think either of us were in the wrong in what we were thinking or feeling.
Mm-hmm.
When your conflict comes out towards me,
Yeah.
I am so immediately going to shut down.
You shut down. Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't respond, and
Right.
we talked about it later on and resolved everything. And
I
again,
apologized.
yeah. And like I said, I don't think you were wrong to say something.
Mm.
And I appreciate that you did say something.
Yeah.
And I think that, there's instances where maybe sometimes that happens, but
But I could have said it and gotten my point across and not been so hard.
fair. And I could have remembered that I had work and
Yeah. That's true.
been
Yeah.
on time and
Yeah.
with everything I needed to accomplish. But, sometimes crap happens and you have to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
To roll forward.
You have to roll forward with the punches.
I have a shirt rolling with the punches, so it works on my store. Rollingforward.printful.me.
Buy something.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of conflict that we typically have is,
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of the framework of how it occurs is, I don't think there's ever been an instance where I've been confrontational towards you.
Yeah.
I don't think, not off the top of my head. Maybe there has, but
No, it's more avoidant.
yeah, I am very avoidant in conflict. And, I took everything very to heart
Yeah.
in what you were saying and was like, he's right. It did hurt to hear,
Yeah.
which sometimes the truth, it hurts, but
Yeah.
other times, sometimes all you want to hear from your friend is, "Oh crap, I'm sorry
Yeah.
you have so much going on." Like, yeah, it's 2 days difference. Like, yeah, it's okay. We can meet Thursday. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I know you had, just as much going on, work, tennis coaching and everything like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
you made sacrifices to make time for it, and I could have and should have and wish I could have.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't me coming from a place of I want to not do this.
Yeah.
It was I want to do this. I just don't have the mental capacity to do that and all of the other things I'm doing at this moment.
Right. One of the things I heard from Alex Hormozy was something like, "What's your objective?" Like, and he's specifically more talking like in business, but it's like my objective is for all of us to be better human beings as a result of doing this Taco Tuesday and setting goals and stuff like that. And the me saying what I said was the opposite of accomplishing that objective, right? And so it's something that I think about more and more. It's like, okay, I could get mad and say exactly what's on my mind, which is a gut reaction and something that feels maybe good in the moment because I got it out and whatever else. But it's like, no, that's not. Again, and I know you do shut down, and it's like this is only gonna make Ryan shut down, and that's why afterward I apologized and we had that conversation and talked that out. So again, one of the greatest parts about being friends with you guys is we can do that. We know each other's flaws, and we're able to talk about them
I'll be
and help
honest,
each other get better.
that conversation is why I'm here tonight.
Yeah.
You asked me yesterday, hey, podcast tomorrow, and I was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. And a moment of taken aback by like you feel almost ambushed because it was something that you completely spaced. And
Yeah.
I expressed that to you, but we had a nice productive conversation about it.
Yeah.
And while I was a little hesitant to be here, I'm glad I did make it, and
Yeah.
I don't think I would have made it if we hadn't had that conflict in the past.
Yeah.
So
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'm glad I last shot at you then. No, I'm kidding.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's get a little lighter real quick. And this is the last topic. Yeah. What are some inside jokes that you guys like to tell with each other, or what we all like to tell with each other? Go ahead.
I mean, it's not an inside joke,
Oh,
but this is
kind
my
of, yeah.
favorite thing that I've learned from the two of you. And this stems from you two. And I do it now too. Subconsciously, I do it at work. I do it everywhere in my life. And
Yeah.
it's kind of something where you don't want to cut off a person while they're having conversation or a topic's going on, but you have a side tangent or something that you want to say.
Yeah.
So this is how you remember.
Yep.
Hey, I have something I want to say. This is what I want to say. I do this.
Yeah.
And I put it on and I saw you do it tonight.
Yep.
I
Yep.
appreciated that. And I think Matt appreciates that you do that
Oh,
as well.
Yeah.
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 And about in the gym that we go to, I remember one time there's someone else with ADHD that came in, and like Zach just was like
Five fingers.
cat's
Yeah.
cradle just all over the place. And she was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I want to say something, but I don't want to say it right now." Her mind was blown. She's like, that's the most genius thing ever. Like, I'm gonna start doing that all the time. That's so good.
Oh yeah, it's the best thing, and the other thing is like I put a thought to each crossed finger. Like, okay, this one's for this one's for this, and you know what's interesting is sometimes I've realized like I'll have a thought and I'll want to blurt it out, and I'll cross my finger and I'll be like, is this really like why do I want to get this out?
Just like, oh,
And it's like
okay.
this isn't important enough for this conversation, so let's move on from that. So yeah, it's interesting. Matt, do you have one?
There's so many. They just have to come up. Like I can't think of one off the top of my head. They just kind of come up.
I think my favorite of us is just catch 'em all.
Yes.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
So at one point Zach was playing Pokemon's which one was it?
I don't know.
Arceus.
Arceus.
I think it was
or
Arceus.
it was
I think it was Scarlet.
the most recent one.
Yeah, and you were very heavily involved in it.
Which is a bad game. Don't play it, guys.
And our introvert extrovert selves, Zach would be playing his game, and I'd come up and cook myself some little dinner, and he'd start talking. And catch 'em all was kind of my way of being like, I'm out
Yeah, see you
without
later.
being like, stop talking, leave me alone.
Was the
So-
yes, sergeant of
Yeah.
going down to the basement.
Yeah.
So that's become kind of our motto. We still kind of say it now.
Yeah,
and-
he goes down to the basement. I'll be like, catch them all. I'll be like, yeah, you too. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, any last final thoughts before we end?
I just want to thank you both.
You're a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful man.
Appreciate you hosting us. It's been a great time. I really enjoyed myself a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I think there was a little bit of dread in your vibe coming into
Mhm.
this, and it's interesting because I think most people come into this and they're not expecting it to go as well as it does, and it's good.
yeah, I think it's like one, you're trying like the thought of like talking for an audience is
Yeah.
kind of in the back of your mind, and there's a little bit of hesitation with
Mm-hmm.
that. But then you get into it, and it's just a conversation with a couple of your best
Yeah,
friends.
yeah.
And you're just talking and having a great time.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to say thank you both for coming on. It means so much to me that you guys came on my podcast, and it was so much better than what I expected it to be. Like it did. It felt like the boys just hanging out and having fun, and
Exactly.
there's so many different laughs that we had during this podcast, and oh man, like
And also, like, just learning more about the two of you and kind of the things you guys have gone through,
yeah.
how you experience the world and how I experience it alongside of you. I think that was kind of a fun exploration of, what it means to be
Yeah.
in a wheelchair and friends with somebody who's in a wheelchair.
Yeah. I don't think just the boys would have had this conversation without it
Structure.
being like,
Mhm.
yeah, structure, a podcast dedicated to people
Yeah.
with disabilities. Like, it was kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for joining, and everybody else, thank you so much for joining us today on the Rolling Forward podcast. If you like what you heard, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. I want to hear what keeps you rolling forward, or maybe you have my next t-shirt idea, or perhaps something you heard today that stuck with you. I'm for it all. And if you want to see more shirts like the one I'm wearing and be a part of the Wheelchair Mafia, you can go to rollingforward.printful.me. And if you've got a story worth sharing that fits the theme of what we're doing here, I'd love to hear from you. You could be my next guest.
Those comments below as well.
Yeah, drop those comments. Did I not say that?
You did. I was throwing it out again.
Oh, drop those comments. Matt wants to know, as social as he is, he'll respond to every single comment that
Every
is made
single
about him. Yeah. Yeah.
With a thumbs up.
With what?
With a thumbs up.
with a thumbs up. Yeah, I'll just comment like, I like this one.
Not dead, bro.
Good job. Yeah, so until next time, everybody, keep rolling forward. Thanks all.